Hey guys, welcome into the show today. It's Cancel This. Happy Thursday, January 19th. I'm Vic Faust. Good day to you. Tabitha Hassel here. Eric Johnson on the way. Scotty Gherkin in the studio already. We've talked about it before. We have two musicians on this panel, Eric Johnson and Scotty Gherkin. One plays bass, one's a singer. We know Eric can't sing, so it's Scott who's our singer. Tomorrow we're going to have video of him singing, and he has been all against
keep
it.
saying this.
No, I promise you, it's a free-for-all Friday. You know that.
You know I control the video,
You control
right?
the video, and you're going to play it so people can hear your amazing voice.
That's why he took away StreamYard, because then we could play our own videos.
Yeah.
He didn't want us to play the video of him singing.
Oh, you guys can do that, can't you?
You could have on stream.
I don't know
But
if
I
we
can
can
stop
on
it, too.
Restream.
Yes, you could stop it. You have control. You have total control.
Oh, my goodness.
We may get you found by like.
Oh, wait, we can. I see now where I can play video on Restream. Well,
See, Vic,
Scotty.
you had to open up that can
Well,
of worms.
Scotty.
Well, but you may get found by like American Idol or something.
I'm too old for
Yeah.
American Idol.
No, you're
By
never
like
No,
too
you're
old.
25
not.
years.
I think we should start the Cancel This band.
Isn't there an age limit for American Idol? I think it's like 25,
Doesn't
right?
the
I've
entire
never
world
watched
know
American
about
Idol.
Modern Day Zero already?
No. There's like 7 people in St. Charles County.
That's not true.
And Modern Day Zero is still going strong. You got a show in February. Isn't that at the
We're limping. I wouldn't say we're going strong.
where are you limping? As long as you're moving forward.
We're playing a show.
But where
A
is-
show.
But where is a show being played again?
It's at the Diamond
It's at
Music
Diamond.
Hall,
Yeah,
February 11th.
there you go. We try to have a lot of fun here on the show. We are serious with politics and world events, news headlines, interviews, society, and of course, cancel culture. By the way, I saw a lot of people posting about the NHL Philadelphia Flyer hockey player yesterday in support. I saw a ton of support. I certainly hope cancel culture issues are changing, and that's what it takes. It takes people like you and us and others to just make enough noise. Like, leave people alone. Let people live their lives. Shut up. Go be a keyboard warrior somewhere else on another topic and leave the guy alone. Of course, because he didn't want to wear or participate in the Pride Night for the Philadelphia Flyers pregame skate with the shirt and the sticks. And most of the support I saw, believe it or not, were from gay men that I follow, gay men that I'm friends with, and all of their supporters going, listen, stop it, leave us alone. So anyway, love to see things changing when it comes to cancel culture. Good morning to Lizzie Sparks, always online, giving her some credit yesterday for promoting on Facebook, as she always does. We have, I don't know what happened, but I feel like it's a Friday because so many
too.
news stories came out last night. I feel like it's a Thursday news dump. We have got a ton, and I mean a ton of stuff to do. I'm in a great mood. My Missouri Tiger basketball team beat Arkansas last night.
Congratulations.
Yeah, we like to make them our is on the basketball court.
They're really good this year, aren't they?
Well, they were. They lost 3 in a row going into last night's game.
Ooh.
And then, oh, you mean Missouri or Arkansas?
Missouri.
They're better.
Better
They're
than
better.
they have been
They
the
had
last couple
lost-
of years.
They had lost 2 in a row and 3 of 4, but they beat Arkansas last night.
Excellent.
So good news there. Yeah, they're a tournament team, or they're looking like a tournament team, which
Excellent.
gets us Missouri Tiger basketball fans excited. Okay. With that being said, Tabitha, where do we start with about 8 different stories this morning? I want to start where you want to start.
Oh my gosh, there's so
And by
Like
the
you
way,
said, there's so much going on.
canceltheshow.com. As always, we know we continue to, we're a fairly newer show. We continue to remind you. And sorry, I brought you in, Tabitha, and then cut you off.
yeah. What's wrong, Vic? Come on now.
Canceltheshow.com. Share the show. Go to all of the platforms, please. Log in if you like what we're doing, like our stuff, share it. That's how we continue to grow. That's how people continue to know us. Let people know you have your platform opportunity there. If you can't watch us live, you can see us after, because we go straight live or we go to recording on video, and then we're also edited for all of the audio platforms as well. Okay, with that being said, where do you want to start with a million things to talk about today?
You know, where I would like to start is before Eric, because since Eric's not here, he'd shut us down. He'd say, "Why are we talking about this?" So we'll just
Well, don't bring up Eric.
we'll
if
just
he's
get
not
it out
here.
of the
Just,
way.
Yeah, jump in.
No, I'm just teasing Eric because I know he's listening. Saudi Arabia yesterday made the announcements that they are willing to buy oil in other currencies than the US dollar. That's unheard of. They've always bought oil with the US dollar, and now they're willing to purchase it in other currencies. Does that mean the ruble?
It could be in the ruble. I think this is a massive story that you found, and we're always ahead of the game. I mean, we really are on many issues. Not everyone, but we are.
It's a huge story. It's probably one of the bigger stories,
If you-
and the reason why, because it doesn't just affect us today, it affects our future. Where are we as a country in 5 years, in 10 years, in 20 years? Because the United States in the West, Europe, etc., We've controlled the world because we force people to buy our oil or the oil of other countries in US dollar. We force trade to be traded in US dollars. And if any country doesn't want to trade in the US dollar, guess what happens? Look at Libya.
Bingo.
Look at Iraq.
Yeah.
Look at Afghanistan. Look at all these countries that attempted to use something other than the US dollar. But we're getting to the point now where so many countries have risen up and said, we are no longer trading in the US dollars. There's nothing we can do about it. We're going to be the underdog.
Well, you're talking about China.
Yes.
You're talking about Russia, about Saudi Arabia. You're talking about India and others. I mean, try to put this into place in regards to what has happened, because this is a major, major shift. It's not all going on now, but what we're seeing right now are countries at an elite pace advancing their relationships and talking about this unlike we have ever seen before. Should you be concerned? Yeah. What can you do about it? Nothing.
There's nothing
There's
the
not a
people can
damn
do.
thing we the people can do about this. It's happening. If you believe in God, and I hope you pray to God that we're protected as a country somehow, some way. I'm not trying to, oh my God, the sky is falling. But if you look down the road, in some senses, it just may be because of what's happening. You're talking about, think about this. Saudi Arabia is currently the world's largest oil exporter, and they've been using this petrodollar system since the 70s. That means all of its crude exports have only been in the US dollar. So this would be a massive change, which Tabitha was just talking about.
Yes.
And if you don't think that that's an effort to crash the American economy, to crash the American dollar, and I'm not necessarily saying, oh, it's this
it doesn't
devious
happen
plan,
overnight.
devious plan to
Well,
come
no,
after the United States.
it is
And
a devious plan, quite honestly.
And it could be.
It is.
But first and foremost, it's to jump their own economy, jump their own dollars. And hey, if we can knock out some American power at the same time, you better believe we're going to do it.
Because wouldn't you believe that most countries, they want to use their own currency, don't they?
Of course they do.
We have not allowed that. The United States has not allowed other countries to trade in their own currency. And they are telling us now, you know what? We are growing bigger than you are. We're all thinking about joining BRICS. And Saudi Arabia is another country
We're in trouble.
that has expressed, when Saudi Arabia joins BRIC, we have Iran wanting to join BRICS, all of these different countries, Egypt. When this happens, and we've said this many times on the show, BRICS will control the majority of the world's GDP. They will control the majority of the world's population. And when that shift takes, right now, the United States and Europe control the majority of the GDP and the majority of the population. But when that shift takes place, it's going to take away the power that we're used to having. And then when we are powerless, we are vulnerable, we are weak. And then what's going to happen to us? Are we going to be forced to trade in China's currency? Are we going to be using the ruble? What are we going to be using? And you know what? We're not going to have a lot to say about it because we're going to be put in a place where, hey, United States, if you want to trade with us, guess what? You better be paying us in the yuan. You better be paying us in the ruble. It's this is such a huge deal, and if you really pay attention
It's
to world news,
it's going unnoticed
it
nationally.
is going unnoticed.
World news, we're not even really talking about this.
No one's talking about it, and the reason why is because I think it would put panic into so many people if they truly understand what's
We'll
happening.
panic everybody here.
And it should panic people because we're used to being the superpower of the world, and
Yeah, we are.
and that's it's shifting, and we have to ask. We know the Biden administration, we know the puppet master, we know all of these different people understand that this is happening. Why are they allowing it to happen? Don't you think it has to be by design?
What has to be by design?
The power shift from NATO, from United States, from Europe to BRICS.
Yeah.
They
I
have
do.
to know this is happening. So it kind of makes me wonder, the powers that be, who we always refer to, the puppet master, the elite, some people call them, maybe they're not even American. Maybe it's part of a different global system and they're doing this to us on purpose. Maybe they've sold us out. I don't know what's going on.
Well, Robert from the chat line, and by the way, we recommend and tell you to jump in to the comment line. We also scroll. Are we scrolling the number at the bottom of the screen today, Scott?
We can. I was not doing it at this point. I was letting you guys do the intro.
Okay, you got it. So we'll have that number up for you. You can jump in. Text the number if you want to jump into our show via video link. We'll do that.
There now.
Okay, thank you, bud. Robert says, remember, BRICS still needs our market.
How long?
We still have some swag, and I do agree with that.
We have some.
I mean, we can't talk about like us being a third world country.
Well, no, we're not
just
going to be a
need to make
third
sure
world
that everybody
country.
knows what could happen.
It's not that we're going to be a third world country. I don't see that ever happening. But what we do see happening is that we are going to be weaker. We're not going to be the world. We're always known as the world superpower, but that is shifting so quickly when we are not the world superpower. Because if you keep an eye on news, you're going to see these countries falling in line one by one behind Russia, and that's what's happening already. China and
We
Russia
see some of that right
have
now.
already aligned. Those are two big powers together. Saudi Arabia starting to line up. Iran has lined up. Syria has lined up. All of these countries, Turkey is talking about leaving NATO and joining BRICS. It's such a huge shift in power. And what that does to us, that makes us weak. It makes us vulnerable. Could we be invaded? That's something
No, stop it.
we've not experienced.
We're not being invaded anytime soon. And
Well,
it's
we're
not,
being invaded every day by the
no,
open
well, what,
southern border.
No, stop it. Let's get back.
Don't say it can't happen.
No,
Vic.
no,
don't
Tabitha,
say it can't
yeah,
happen.
Yeah, and
when you're a weak
I could
and
win the
vulnerable
lottery.
nation,
Okay, so
things
when
can
are you
happen.
suggesting we could get invaded?
I don't
People coming
know.
across
I don't
our
expect it to
shores.
happen next week.
Not in your lifetime, not in
And
my
maybe
lifetime.
not in my lifetime, but the
No.
power shift is happening quick. The US dollar is tanking quickly, and people need to take notice.
Well, the US dollar is going down. Money experts can talk about if it's quickly, if it's not quickly.
It's being propped up right now by all the fake money we're printing.
This is kind of interesting, though, guys. Get this. Let's talk about Mexico and their economy. I was having a business lunch with a friend and a listener from our show. He will be joining us on the show at some point in time. He is looking to become a resident in Mexico.
So many people are.
So you know about this trend.
Yes. We've talked about it here on the show before.
No, we haven't.
Yes, we have.
We have not talked about becoming a Mexican
yes, we
resident.
have.
Who spoke
You
about
probably
it?
just weren't paying attention.
Oh, no, that's Eric. That's not me. Because I would have remembered that. You may have said it quickly, but we have not used it as a
topic. We've not
topic.
had a big, long, drawn-out discussion.
We have not. What did you say before?
What I said
because
before,
you're probably the person that brought up and nobody was listening to you.
That's usually the case.
Probably.
I have a lot of friends who are moving to Mexico because as a matter of fact, one of my friends, he owns 3 restaurants in Mexico. You can move to Mexico and let's say what would be a $2,000 house in this area would be a $1 million looking house in Mexico, if that kind of makes sense. They say the people are very friendly. People think that Mexico is so dangerous, but much of Mexico is not dangerous to Americans at all. And there's a lot of Americans. It depends on where you are.
And you have to play by the rules that you're living in.
Well, like any country.
We just have to make sure we give the details.
like any country. Yeah, you don't want to go out and commit crimes, obviously, because their jail systems don't work like they do here.
Well, so they're moving.
But Mexico is a beautiful country. There's a lot of areas there that you can hire. The guy that I know, he owns 3 restaurants there. is doing fantastic, lives on the beach in this beautiful home, has, a chef in his home, and for 20% of what you'd pay here.
Todd says, "Who cares what your house looks like, Tabitha, when the cartel comes and kills you and rapes your family?"
But that's not happening in a big portion of
But-
Mexico.
Well, when I was talking, the reason I brought the topic up because we're talking about our dollar, which could be affected by Saudi Arabia now saying, guess what? We're open for all currencies other than US dollar and the euro in regards to trading our oil. And Saudi Arabia right now is the largest exporter of oil in the world. So that puts them at a very high pedestal, as we can see, to make a whole lot of money. With that being said, Megan says it is happening.
No, it is definitely happening. But like you said, Vic, it depends on the area. It definitely do. You don't want to
But-
go to Mexico City. You don't want to go to Mexico near the US border. Really bad through that area. But there are parts of Mexico where police officers I know, FBI people I know, they say it's perfectly safe for Americans.
Well, we're talking, that's a side topic here. My friend who is looking to become a resident in Playa de Carmen,
yes.
he just spent 30 days there. And he said he was shocked, the American dollar right now and what the peso is making. Peso.
The
Yeah.
Mexican peso.
Yes, what it's gaining. It is gaining in that country on the US dollar. Shocked him, shocked me. And we're talking, gosh, what was it? Maybe 8 or 9 pesos just in the last month. And he's like, you've got to be kidding me. So he was afraid of the currency in the United States and the dollar and what's even happening in Mexico. Now, he says it's safe there where they are. He's like, there's police all over the place right now, 4 or 5 different organizations.
Right.
He's like, now you'll still be run up to on the street more so than you would be in an American town. Hey, you want this? You want that?
Right,
We'll give
right.
this for you. We'll do that. But he spent a month there and he said he loved it. So,
Yeah, there are parts of Mexico I would never go. And then there's parts I have friends right now in
and you
Mexico.
can use your own money.
Right.
And he showed me a picture of a bank. Get this, 8% on your money for 28 days. I was like, what? 8% in 28 days. And it was like 8.7% for a year.
I am telling you, I have seriously contemplated moving to Mexico.
And
I
it's
really
not,
have.
and it's not all that difficult to become a Mexican resident. So you can still keep
You can keep
United
your US
States
citizenship.
here, but you become what is called a Mexican resident.
Right.
We're going to have him on the show to promote this because he and his girlfriend are doing it, and they're going to give it a shot and see what happens.
a lot of people are. It's not uncommon at all, and we're going to see more and more people doing this because the economy in Mexico is doing great right now. I realize that in Mexico right now, the police officers and the cartels are in a big war in some areas of Mexico, but there a lot of areas are not. They're not feeling the violence in some
I don't know.
places.
I don't know enough about Mexico to comment on that.
I
All
don't-
of my
I'm not a
information,
Mexico expert by any means.
I can't tell you that I would feel 100% safe and comfortable
I wouldn't drive the
going-
highways all through Mexico.
exactly going down and starting a new life there right out of the gate. It's just
You'd have to do your research. You'd have to know where to go. But I've heard the people there are just so welcoming
well.
and so nice.
Megan says the next time we talk to Colonel Joe, and by the way, Colonel Joe is going to start to join us every Tuesday now. We're really starting to fill out this show. Colonel Joe will be here every Tuesday. She says, ask him. He won't even go to Mexico.
Yeah, we will definitely have to ask him.
I'm like, that's, and I know that Megan knows Colonel very well.
Yes, and I know there's parts of Mexico. I've even told people.
Well, what parts
don't
are
go.
what parts
Right
are safe?
right across our border right here in the United States. If you step across the border to Mexico, that's a very dangerous area.
I get it. No, I get it.
It's like any country. There's parts of Afghanistan, believe it or not.
Are you going to want to
that are
raise kids in
fairly
Mexico
safe.
though?
Well, I'm past child rearing
So
age.
you're talking about
If I had small children, maybe it would be a different story. I don't know. And I'm not educated enough about their school system, about how they, raise children.
I do know that everybody gets free healthcare and it's pretty good. I've been told that. And I've been told that the healthcare providers trained in the United States or have trained in the United States and then go back to Mexico. So once again, I'm getting one example of one person that I know that is there. And Todd says, I like margaritas.
Don't we all, Todd?
But hey, the dollar is losing its value to the peso now too.
Isn't
I
that a crazy
repeat,
thought?
I repeat, the Mexican peso is doing pretty damn well compared to the American dollar. Now, I don't know where all that money's coming from in Mexico and how they're providing 8% for 28 days. But I did see, just like, you would look at a billboard for gas, hey, 313 here on a lit up billboard. That's what they have at the bank in Playa where he was. And I'm like, yeah, you may be onto something there, my friend.
Think about this. And Kasha's on the comment lines. Kasha Stocky, hello and good morning to you, Kasha. So what Kasha stated is that there are parts of St. Louis that are really dangerous. Think about this. Parts of St. Louis are much more dangerous than a good portion of Mexico.
Okay.
That's a terrifying thought.
No,
but
it
it's
is
true.
But it's a very small part compared to the St. Louis metropolitan area. Let's be real about that.
Is it?
Yes, because we know where most of the crime happens.
Okay.
It's in one
and that's
specific
the same with
spot.
every country. That's the same.
And
that's my point. It's the same with every country.
No, it's not.
There are
Mexico's
specific
different.
areas that are really bad, and then there's some that are very safe.
Todd says I still trust St. Louis Metro Police more than I do the Mexican police, and I agree. 100.
I agree.
Yes, Tab, 100%. And once again, this guy that I know would be moving with his girlfriend. They're around your age, so maybe it's just for certain people.
I know who
Because
you're
I can
talking
tell you, I
about,
would never
yeah.
be moving my family to Mexico to raise kids.
Yeah, because the same person messaged me about it also.
Because I mean, you were telling people not to go to 4-year colleges, and people.
I'm not saying no one should
and
go to
pe-
4-year college.
And then I was like, well,
You're taking
what
that
about
out of
planes?
context.
Oh, you did. You said
I
it.
said people, if you're going to be a
You should
doctor
you should even go to
or an
4-year
attorney or something that's worth the trade-off for your $200,000, $300,000 tuition, then it's worth it. It's not worth going to a 4-year college to get a arts degree that you're never going to use.
No, it's because a lot of people also play sports, and you can't do that
Okay,
really in Mexico.
but you're going to go play sports, and where's that going to get you in life?
No, but
unless
that's a
you're
whole. No,
going to
stop
play
it,
professional
Tabitha.
sports.
Tabitha, you don't even realize what you just said.
I do.
There's a lot.
Where is
People love to play
Where is your
sports.
Master of Arts degree? What kind of job is that going to get you? Whether you play sports or not.
Now you're taking it to a different level on top of it about what somebody should do and should not do because of what they love to do.
You brought it up.
Yeah, because I had somebody tell me, shut Tabitha up. She doesn't understand that 4-year colleges are needed for kids that want to play sports and continue doing something that they love, that they've done their whole life.
So they're going to go to a 4-year college to
but once
explore
again,
their hobby
maybe
of playing a sport.
But now you're taking
But then
it,
what kind of job are they going to get when they're done?
Okay, you're making it, you're telling people what they should do.
I'm telling people you can do whatever you want to do.
And then there's several people who go take a year off and travel the world. And
absolutely
is that smart? So once again, it's just,
I'm not telling anyone what to do.
Okay.
So tell your friend to shut it.
There's nothing wrong. So I can tell Danny there's nothing wrong with kids wanting to go to a 4-year college to play sports.
Whatever people want to do. If they want to spend their money to go play sports, I don't care.
Todd says internet influencer. There you go. Also interesting here. Okay. Robert says, Vic, all currencies relative to the dollar have appreciated. I would say so if the peso is doing well. It is changing. And this happened in the 1990s also. It always balances out. Okay. I haven't looked at
did, but now we didn't have all of these countries lining up against us. That's different from the 90s.
You got a point there too. Because for the first time, we're seeing Saudi Arabia doing what they're doing. Now, I know the world changes and people evolve and countries evolve, but I don't think we've seen anything like this. To Robert, anybody else across the country that's listening to cancel this, we haven't seen it. Not in this order.
What's happening right now is unprecedented. In the United States history, it has never happened. Countries have not lined up against us and refused to use the US dollar. And the only ones that have refused to use the central bank system, like I said, look at Libya as one of many examples.
I'm just wondering how far this is going to happen. You say it balances out, Robert, but we're in such a time right now of peril where we really have no idea what's going to happen next month. Do we?
No way to know.
I mean, or 2 months
Things
from
are
now,
changing
or
so
2 years from now.
Under this Biden regime, we don't know where we're going.
Well, I mean,
we're a weak country already because we've given all of our money and all of our equipment, all of our military equipment to Ukraine. And we continue to give more. Now we have Ukrainian soldiers training right here in our own country, in Oklahoma, which just stepped up everything.
Well, I mean, we had about 20 topics to get into today, and we will get into them all. It's interesting as it's interesting as we produce this original content because one thing leads to the next, which leads to the next. We talk about where we're going with the US dollar, other countries and their currencies increasing, what Saudi Arabia is doing. Then Tabitha takes it into, well, we've given all of our military equipment to Ukraine. And then, the Pentagon for the 5th straight time has failed their audit. The Pentagon cannot account for 220 billion. I say 220 billion dollars. Our Pentagon can't account for $220 billion in government property. Can't account for it. Where did it go? The 5th straight audit. Is that concerning? The Department of Defense is like, we don't know where that money went, or we don't know where that property is, or what happened to it. That's $220 billion.
It's a lot of money, isn't it?
Where the hell is it? That's accounted for what's going to Ukraine.
We should say, whose pocket is it in? That's what we should say. How was that money divided up, and whose pocket is that money now in? Well, whose shell account was it transferred to? Because that money is out there somewhere. It's not just floating around. Someone has it.
Well, since the first independent audit happened in 2017, the Pentagon hasn't passed one audit. And we wonder what's happening in this country.
And that's your money.
Yeah,
That's
our money.
my money. That's Scotty's money. That's our taxpayer money that's going into the pockets of other people. And a lot of that is money laundering. They didn't just lose it because there are some intelligent folks running these operations. They didn't just lose the money. They intentionally misplace it.
You're talking about the company doing the audit. We're talking about 220 in-person site visits, 750 virtual site visits, and they can't find or account for $220 billion. And it gets even further than that. When it failed the audit, which took place in November, you're talking about not being able to prove expenditures for 61% of its $3.5 trillion in assets.
Unbelievable, isn't it?
What the hell is going on? And then Tabitha talks about us sending our equipment to Ukraine. And
how do you think they funded those biolabs in Ukraine? They couldn't just have a line item that says, "Oh, we're funding biolabs." That money disappears and it gets funneled around to these different projects.
How so?
Well, we know that they discovered, 26 biolabs over in the Ukraine. Okay, so how are those biolabs being funded? The money has to come to them from somewhere. And our
Correct.
government, when we pay for things that we're not supposed to pay for, they don't exactly take a line item and show it somewhere. And somebody can't just look it up and say, "Oh, there we go, $8 million to biolab number 1 over in Ukraine." That money gets lined out. It's somewhere in the mix, and it somehow makes its way to Ukraine, and it makes its way into the pockets of somebody like Zelensky.
Well,
how do you think Zelensky made $35 billion being the president of Ukraine?
Yeah, this guy is he's sitting pretty. Something happened right
Why
there.
is it back in the 90s people knew that's how they made money? Is you go to Ukraine and you became a Ukraine businessman, and that meant you had a lot of money.
Did we ever play the video of him dancing in heels on the show?
No.
Didn't we put it somewhere? Did we send that?
One of us, somebody was sending it back and forth.
I found it and I pushed it out, and you're like, "Yes, that's the video I've seen."
That is the one where he's dancing in high heels.
But you said you posted it somewhere and got blocked?
No, I didn't say that. Mm-mm.
So we should show it.
We absolutely should. In my prior radio life, I played the video. No, I did not get blocked.
Okay.
Prior radio life.
In
another dimension.
One of many in the Matrix.
In the meantime, Robert says China's economy, he doesn't believe is
China's economy is not good.
Says it's in worse shape than ours.
It is. That's true.
So how? Most products we get are from China.
I know, but you know what? China really messed themselves up when they decided to go green, because what they did is they shut down a lot of their coal plants. And when they shut down their coal plants, it nearly completely shut down the economy of South Korea because they were not able to send out coal products, which would be diesel exhaust fluid. But when China shut down their coal plants, it came back and bit them in a very bad way. They were having power outages. They had to ship all these shutdowns during COVID. They weren't making products. They weren't shipping products out. And they have just completely destroyed their economy.
I hate diesel exhaust fluid. I have to use it.
It's ridiculous. And it's on
Yeah,
such
I know.
short supply. Even here in the United States, we have like maybe 20 days supply, and then they'll replenish a little. Then we're down to 15 days. They'll replenish a little. We are on the edge, the literally brink every day with our diesel exhaust fluid. And you're right, Scotty.
Fantastic. If that happens, I'll have
It's
to
ridiculous.
find a new vehicle. I might be walking to work.
They keep saying it's going to happen, but they somehow find another supply.
I also got a message. Hey guys, if you didn't know already, you can buy prescription drugs in Cabo without a prescription.
In Cabo?
Yeah. Yeah. How about that?
Most of the people I know who've moved to Mexico have moved to Cabo.
It's beautiful.
Yes, it is. I've never been, but I've heard.
It's absolutely amazing. It's actually a cool little town. Like the whole area there is nice. And it's not just the city. Like you can go out and there's some really nice beaches and horseback riding.
Yeah, people aren't getting kidnapped in Cabo.
No, probably not. Well, they're probably getting kidnapped everywhere.
I mean, look,
Trafficking.
we had 2 home invasions in St. Charles this week.
Yeah,
I
if
mean,
it can
let's all
happen in
just go to
Forest
Mexico.
Hill, it can happen in Cabo. Good Lord.
I am searching for our man Zelensky, because you were all over
Oh,
this guy.
the video.
And you've been all over him for a long time about, hey, we're getting
The
played.
guy, okay, Volodymyr Zelensky was a comedian. And
What? Like literally?
Yes.
Oh, no,
Literally.
literally. Before, he was never involved in politics. He was a comedian, had nothing to do with politics. He was a comedian. They literally plucked him out to become the president of Ukraine.
He's
And
a
now he's
swindler.
worth $35 billion.
Just like that.
$35 billion.
So he was buddies with Hunter.
And probably so.
Maybe.
They
And probably,
partied and then, oh, we can put you here.
absolutely. And so when he was selected to be president, anyone that rose up against him or tried to oppose him, they were jailed or they went missing. Journalists in
What
the
year was
Ukraine-
that again?
I don't recall. It wasn't that long ago. Journalists in Ukraine who attempt to speak out against Zelensky, they are jailed. You have no freedom of speech. The guy has never, ever had a press conference in person. All of his little press conferences are by video, and he has never answered questions from journalists ever. And so as part of his comedy routine, he has a video where he's wearing high heels
Yeah, I can't find it right now.
and dancing around topless. It's the craziest thing.
Zelensky is?
Yes.
Yeah. It's.
I'll find it.
Yeah, I can't find it right now.
Let
when
me
I'm
do
trying
some
to-
searching. I'll be back in a moment.
Jeannie says Sammy loves Cabo. Yes.
yes, he does. Yes, he does.
Yeah, Hunter and Vlad probably met in the club somewhere. As Scott was saying, that makes sense as well. This is Cancel This Tab of the Assholes here. Eric Johnson on the way. I'm Vic Faust, Scotty Gherkin in studio. Remember to share the show. Like what we're doing, please. Go to all the platforms. You can do it there. And we ask you to like the video each day if you can, because that helps get around some algorithms when it comes to getting our video, our product out there to as many people as possible. Yeah, Scott, you found it already. It didn't take you very long to find the video. We'll try to pull that up. We see pictures of it. There's nothing like the real thing, and I'm sure a lot of people has seen that as well. Oh my God.
Oh, yeah, I found it.
The quote of the day.
Just look up Zelensky dancing in heels.
Yeah.
And you will find it.
And we don't have to have this. This
And
is,
it's only 1 minute.
so this is
one
comedy
minute.
that we're playing right now.
You want to call it comedy?
Well, here, they're not seeing it on the feed. Let me share the screen here.
And Zelensky was a lot thinner. How long ago
He's
was
a
it?
little guy. He's a little guy.
He looks like he's a little guy.
Yeah,
Like
he
he's-
is.
No, shorter, but I mean, he's thicker now.
Now, yeah, he was
But there he is.
much more petite.
Look,
That's
than-
actually Zelensky there.
Yes.
Yes, that's
That's
Zelensky.
funny. All right, let me hit play on this one.
Well, that's a different
There's
Oh, I just
dance. So this is
That's
so this is Ukrainian comedy.
Right there.
There he is. Yeah. There he is. Mike.
Oh my lord.
I don't know.
Oh!
We've all done that a couple times.
Look at this guy. Oh my God.
He's got a cucumber in there. He ain't fooling anybody.
It is so funny. Jeannie said, "What are we watching?" Yes, I would like to know too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there we go, the
Ru-
president of Ukraine.
There he is. Robert says the country being run or the world being run by these creatures. Jeannie's like, that's not entertainment. We're getting to the point that if you aren't a freak, you can't be in politics. That's right. You sell your soul. I think they've been going to free shows to find the folks they want to put into office.
It's someone comment that is not entertainment. Yeah, like what is the entertainment value of that video?
His
Like
club
I got
name,
nothing out of
Magic
that video.
Vlad. All right.
Magic Vlad.
Anyway, that video started to make its way, and yeah. Now Zelensky doesn't speak English either.
He does not speak English.
He's starting to pick a little bit of it up, so it's hard to get a vibe for his personality, but I think you do there. That guy,
He does
we just
support
saw,
Nazis.
that guy that was in heels dancing around is who is now allegedly leading the fight in the streets
Yeah.
against the Russians.
He's a puppet. The biggest puppet of all. Snake oil salesman.
All righty then. And as a listener says, be sure to work hard so that your tax money can be paid to Zelensky and Ukraine.
I've got a great still of that shot if you guys would like to see that.
I would love to see it.
Really, it's kind of
We'll go ahead and share that. There he is, the man, the myth, the legend.
Oh my
that looks
gosh,
like, I
that's
don't
so
know,
funny.
that may be Eric Saturday night at Diamond.
That might be true.
Wait
With
a
some
minute.
heels
playing
on
his
Eric.
bass.
Wait a minute, this proves there's two of them. Or is
Yeah.
it just a mirrored image?
Yeah, it might be. Who knows? We'll have to wait.
We
and
don't want to
see.
start any conspiracy theories here.
Oh my!
Careful,
That is
careful.
so funny.
That's terrible.
Ah.
Thank you for sharing that. Now my day is ruined.
Robert says gay rights started in Berlin, thus the wall. I don't know. Lizzie, the man, the myth, the legend of Zelensky. All right. We appreciate everybody jumping in. Of course, go to canceltheshow.com. You can check in. The number's running at the bottom of your screen if you want a video link with Sid. Kevin says Eric was a stunt double for Vlad. I think I've seen Eric use those moves, or people in his band use moves. Yeah. Oh my Lord. Oh my Lord. Oh my Lord. Okay. Canceltheshow.com. That number that's scrolling at the bottom of your screen. You can text that and we'll get you on. You can video link in with us today. This is all talk with us. Scott, Eric, Tabitha, Vic, no guests today. Tomorrow we do have Alex David coming up. He's going to be a sponsor. He's going to be talking about his services with White Glove Exotic Car Services. Next Tuesday, big day. Can't wait for that. We've got, I guess we'll promote that when we come back from break too. We already told you about Colonel Joe. In the meantime, coming up in the next break. Okay, we try to be ahead of the story. Guess who's publicly saying that the Democrats must have a plan for Biden now? Matt Gaetz.
Mm-hmm.
He's coming out talking about that. Okay, we'll see what happens with that. Also, sad news, a Georgia State trooper shot while they were clearing kind of an encampment where they're going to be building a new police center. They shoot back, they kill the guy, and now Georgia, Atlanta, here we go again. You have a massive group of people and followers on Twitter calling to go shoot police Friday night, go after police Friday night. It's a big, big story. We'll talk about that as well. Lots to get into. It is Cancel This. We'll be back with more Cancel This. Don't go anywhere. Just a couple minute break right after this. Hey guys, welcome back to Cancel This. I'm Vic Faust. Tab of the Hassle here. Eric Johnson in studio and Scotty Gherkin. Of course, all you listening across the country, we appreciate the live views. We also appreciate all the views that are happening after we are live. And that's because you're sharing the show. We appreciate it. Liking our stuff, subscribing to all of the platforms that you possibly can, jumping in and checking out past episodes as well. We continue to get more and more likes, more and more views by a lot on all of the past episodes, our original content that we have in our podcast library. It is Thursday, welcoming you into our show today.
Yeah.
Covered a ton of topics already.
All right.
One thing that's near and dear to my heart is this whole global warming situation.
I'm sure it is.
Climate change, because there is no global warming.
No.
It's climate change is what it's been termed as now. Eric Johnson back with us today. There was the WEF, the World Economic Forum, was going on.
Oh my God.
You saw those planes. Eric, you're a pilot. You saw those planes flying over those jets.
You know what?
Isn't it 100 jets?
I didn't see any jets. I just saw tons of carbon CO2 put into the atmosphere. That's all I saw. How can you? Oh, that's one shady ass organization. I'm sorry.
It is.
I mean, you got to go do your research on the WEF. They want to be, and they've said it in their forum, they want to be the world leaders. They are the world driving force behind economic development on planet Earth. You need to be real damn careful about these people. I don't know enough about them, and I will do my own research, but they're the ones that were backing Sam Bankman-Fried. They were the ones that have...
Great point, Eric.
They're the ones that have been driving this global initiative for green energies, shutting down economies all over the world, saying, you know what, you probably shouldn't use fertilizer to grow your crops. Try something else.
Well, they're pushing for socialism.
Way worse than socialism. Socialism is yesterday's news. Trust me.
Is it?
Yes. We always talk
it's tomorrow's
about
future, but
we
it
always-
can't be yesterday's news.
It's one world order
one thing
globalization.
right there.
But that's the same thing.
Not really.
Yeah, it is. Because
No,
socialism
no.
is part of one world order.
Maybe it's the next
No.
step up.
No,
It's on
it
this
is.
way.
It's on crack. It's socialism on crack. Socialism basically is like communism. It's like,
well,
look,
socialism
it's
and
like we're all
communism
comrades. It's like socialism is like
is
we're all
part of
comrades.
one
and-
world order.
No,
It's part
no,
of
Tab, it's
globalism.
not.
Yes, it is.
There's a different thing that's going on. It's elite. It's what is it called? It's I can't. There's a word for it, but it's the elite, the guys who have everything, who are investing in everything, who
Mhm.
will say, "You guys need nothing." As a matter of fact,
That's called
you know
socialism and communism.
no, it's not. Yeah, it's an archaic version of that. And that's why this is so dangerous, is because kids think that what you're talking about is true, but it's not true. What is the truth about all this stuff is that these are people that would say, if I ride on this big jet, it's okay because I got business to do. You little people should not ride on these big jets because you're killing the planet. You guys and your guns, yeah, we'll keep the armed guards. Your guns, they don't mean anything. Get rid of them. Just get rid of them. They want to control everything. You need to do your due diligence, all you people on this on the Facebook. Go do your due diligence. Go find out what's going on in the WEF. I think it's becoming a little bit of a joke. I think that they are overplayed their hand a little bit.
I
But
don't know about that.
but because I don't think anyone takes John Kerry seriously, do they? Does anybody take John Kerry seriously?
I don't think anyone
No.
takes John Kerry
Democrats
seriously.
don't take him seriously.
But I can tell you that the folks on our comment line, we say this all the time, very intelligent folks. I can guarantee you they know everything there is to know about the WEF. because these people do their research.
So communism is a government, United States, Russia, China, having a group of leaders that will give you a little bit to make sure that the population is kind of equal, correct? This is different. This is a different thing altogether, man. I'm telling you.
Well, you had something, Eric. You brought it up. Fox News reporting over 1,000 jets.
1,000 jets. I'm sorry, I said 100.
And this whole climate change subject is a massive dividing subject with so many people. It's being used by whatever you want to call it. Socialism, globalist,
yeah.
Democrats, you
New
name
World
it.
Order.
And all you want to do is see some facts.
Yeah.
Well, we've got some facts. Studies being done now. We'll show it to you on the page here. Check this out. When it comes to what's actually happening, what's real, what's not when it comes to CO. Eric brought up CO. Scott, if you could put that back up, that would be great. Thank you so much. Here's Steve Malloy tweeted this out, and he showed the graph that was showing what's actually happened. In the last 8 years, man-made CO2 has increased 17%. Wow. In the last 8 years.
It's not a recognizable file. I can't get it open.
Oh, I thought I saw it up there. Sorry. It was up there just a
it's
second.
on our screen.
Oh,
Yes, I
okay.
cannot put it within the app.
Oh, okay.
See, that's what comes up.
Gotcha, buddy.
Sorry.
In the last 8 years, man-made CO2 has increased 17%. So I guess global temperature's increased, right, guys?
Right.
No.
What?
Global temperature has actually cooled.
What?
Global temperature, 17% increase in CO2, but somehow global temperature has cooled. Emissions allegedly raise temperatures, right? That's what we're told.
Yeah.
That's what we're sold.
Yeah.
The opposite is occurring.
Got it.
And we're showing you the graph right there. On the far right is the year. It's the last year. It's 2022.
Oh, my Lord.
And you see nothing has changed.
Good God.
I mean, there you go.
Here's the deal.
It's looking from 21 to 2022.
And that's real science, right?
Real science.
This is the real science. This is not being propagated by someone who is raking in billions of dollars based off of a climate sham.
Keep preaching.
Because there's no such thing as global warming.
I don't know if you guys ever do this. Whenever I'm bored on a Saturday afternoon and I just want to laugh, I just go watch Al Gore's Inconvenient Truth. And then
that's you get a bottle of liquor and watch that.
Yeah. Maybe one day we should do that on the air and then just have. You ever see Mystery the Science Theater 2000?
I thought 2016 we were all going to be dead.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's worse. Florida was supposed to be underwater. Remember? Do you guys remember that? That if you had
I just read about it yesterday.
If you had beachfront property, you have no more. There's no more docks. Miami's completely underwater. By the year 2020, I believe his little graph said, Manhattan was just basically you could go scuba diving over Manhattan. And this is just look, the Al Gores of the world, they are the new COVID. They are the new COVID. They were the ones that promised that COVID was going to take us all out if we didn't live in our basements inside of a protective suit forever, for 14 days. Remember that?
Yeah.
Nothing came true. As a matter of fact, if you subscribed to the liberal point of view, you're in jeopardy. If you went in like a bunch of sheep got that vaccine, there's
cupcake. It's a cupcake.
Whatever. There's research out there now that says your heart might be in a little bit of jeopardy. Right? It did.
Oh, there is.
Okay.
And there's a study, the CDC checking about cupcakes. That's
exactly.
For sure.
Nothing that the liberals have ever subscribed to has been accurate. Getting rid of cops, cupcakes. What's the V word? I will use a different one for V word. The I word. My God, nothing.
Because they don't accept that the earth replenishes itself. Look what just happened in
Tabitha,
California.
Thank you.
Go on,
everybody's been
Bring it home.
freaking out about this drought in California. Okay, then last week they've had this river, the atmospheric river that came through. Guess what? No more drought. They said within 1 week, all of their water sources were completely replenished.
Yes. Within a week.
The drought is over because you know what? The earth, Mother Nature, our earth is a living being thing, and it replenishes itself.
What about Lake Mead? That's the one I keep an eye
Oh my
on.
God.
I haven't looked up Lake Mead.
But that's when
I'm
you
waiting
should
for
get.
them to find some more
We
bodies.
had an expert that told us about.
I know,
Lake
but
Mead.
through the torrential
Because it-
downpours that have been going on in the West Coast, I would like to know, has it filled back up?
I would like to too. I'll check
I'm
on
not
that
sure
today.
because you know what that's
a different
Lake Mead
area.
is so far away from where this rain was in California.
Yeah.
I don't think it would affect that.
And
Okay.
they still have more bodies to find there. So let's
Let's
let it dry out a little more.
Let it keep dropping.
From our texting line. Plus, guys, the ozone is rebuilding itself
Exactly.
and will be completely healed by 2050.
Because the Earth, Mother Nature heals itself. God takes care of the Earth.
You know, us 80s
People
guys
have
screwed up the
no-
ozone with
Yeah.
the Aquanet. So now that Aquanet's gone, it's probably we're all safe now.
So the
Okay.
emissions going up.
You're right, Eric.
Emissions going up. CO2, just remember, CO2 is going up.
Yeah.
Global temperatures going down. CO2 going up. Global temperatures going down. If anybody wants to talk about, let's have a climate change talk, let's get real facts in there. We try to provide you with science. We try to provide you with everything that you need to know so you don't just sit back and go, okay, that's right. Climate change is happening. And then there's 1,000 jets by those who are trying to set these stages for all of us to follow, flying their private jets all over the place.
Yeah.
And Robert
True.
says sunspot activity controls a lot of our weather.
As does
An 11-year solar cycle.
absolutely. So does volcano eruptions.
Yeah.
And the different
And
types of
cow
gases they
flatulence.
emit. According to Bill Gates, yes, the methane
and
from
Aquanet,
cows is just
Aquanet.
destroying the planet.
Yeah.
These people are ridiculous,
Yeah.
absolutely ridiculous. Bill Gates was actually in Davos talking to the WEF about cows and methane and about how we don't need farms anymore. We don't need livestock anymore because they have new alternative meat sources.
Say what?
With no methane that don't produce methane.
Yeah, it's called
insane.
roaches. It's called roach burgers.
It's called chemicals. The plant-based meat
yeah.
is nothing but chemicals.
You know what
There's
we should
nothing
do?
healthy about that.
We should. Again, if you want to be in the game, play the game. We should open a restaurant called Insects, and just have everything that was good with meat, and just be the first to it and see if it works.
Well, there's already restaurants popping up that have that cellular grown meat that we've talked about.
What did you say?
that
You
was
sent us a picture
disgusting.
the other day about human something. You sent us a picture.
I don't really understand what that was. Somebody sent that to me.
What's that?
And it was a photo and it said human beef burgers. And I'm like, okay, what in the world is that supposed to mean?
Yeah.
It
Human
is
beef
it is
burgers.
interesting when you look at the CO2 levels and emissions going up 17% in the last year, but global temperatures going down. I've been around so many, and we've talked about Dave Murray and him breaking down that there really isn't this climate change, and you have to look at patterns over 40, 50 years, not 5, 10 years.
We're still at this in the cycle, and a lot of people don't understand this. We're still at the end of the ice age cycle. At one point, the entire Earth was covered with ice. We still have ice caps.
Was that when dinosaurs were running around?
We're not even going to get into that.
Here we go, Tab. Go crazy.
Giants, not dinosaurs.
Giants.
Giant
That's it.
humans and
Fetterman's
dinosaurs.
ancestors. Sorry.
But I mean, the Earth goes through cycles. Weather is cyclical. The Earth cools and it warms, and then it cools, and then it warms.
So what do you propose we do, Tab?
I propose we go on and live our lives and stop giving money to these fools.
Hold on, I agree with you, but you can't because you have the WEF out there.
The WEF is losing. I don't know if you listened to us talking in the first hour of the show. The WEF is going down because you know what?
What?
Globalism, in my opinion, will never happen. A new world order will never happen.
The best
and you know why? Because Russia, our enemy, allegedly, our alleged enemy, Putin, is fighting against globalism.
Yeah. I don't know if you're right, but I'll tell you what you could do. And I think that this is a smart idea. You could go cut up these videos out of Davos and because I think that John Kerry just said that we're aliens or something like that in one of his speeches. You could go cut this thing up and put it on TikTok and make fools out of them. I think that you could use their own words against them.
Of course you could.
And that's what needs to happen. If you guys are smart enough with TikTok, which I'm not, go make some videos, cut it up, and make these guys look like clowns. You got to start putting them into pop culture and make it look like these are the guys screwing up your life. If you want cars that are run on gas, think, what? That was a creepy laugh.
No, like I'm thinking about something.
You don't even need gas to run your cars. You can run your car on water or corn oil.
We were called aliens.
Is that right? I know that someone sent me, goes, did you hear that Al Gore or not Al Gore, it was John Kerry said that we're aliens or we got to find the video because I want to know what they say over there in these forums. They used to have stuff online. I don't know
Is
why.
that better than being called a deplorable?
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of trendy though, I guess, being an alien. But they think that they're from another planet, I guess, and it's their job to save the world. So they got to go out there and save the world. And the day that they go, all right, John, you saved the world. It's time to get rid of your $40 million jet. That's not going to happen. Okay, John, it's time to get rid of your security force, and they all have AR-15s. Well, guess what's not going to happen? These are the only thing that I would say that makes me believe that this is not the Illuminati is they're so stupid.
Here, I don't want to blow your mind too much, Eric, but the Earth's orbit, according to Jeff, goes
Yeah.
from a circular
Yeah.
to an elliptical pattern cycle
Yeah.
that takes approximately 23,000 years.
Yeah.
2012, we are moving back from 2012. We're moving back to elliptical. So he says Tabitha is 100%.
She is. We're all
correct.
right on this show. I know for a fact
Yes.
that pilots, they're the magnetic poles, they shift all the time. I know that like the charts from the 50s are different from the charts of now. When you fly an airplane, you're on the magnetic poles, right? Well, those things are offset.
Well, the poles shift.
They shift all the time.
Well,
That has
not about
nothing
all
to
the
do
time, but the poles do occasionally
They're always moving.
shift.
Yeah.
But sometimes there's like a large pole shift. That it
Well,
happens.
that didn't sound good. A large pole shift. Anyway, go on, Tim. I'm sorry.
It's okay. But yeah, our all this is about it as everything is. It's all a sham
Yes.
for money, to
Okay.
put money in the pockets of people like Al Gore,
Mm.
whoever the elites are, maybe these folks over at the WEF, they all make money on this sham called climate change. Pollution is real, but that's something different than climate change. They try to lump it together to make us all feel bad that we're destroying the earth. That's because of the climate. No, it's not. We're killing our bees because we'd rather have pretty green lawns than actually survive.
I
as
would say,
humans.
you hear, you know what, we can agree to agree. I've been to the oceans out in I think it was Portland, where there are plastic things floating around in the ocean. That's pollution.
That's
okay?
correct.
And
That needs to get cleaned up.
We need to
for
correct the
real.
pollution.
And there's
We're
pollution in
destroying our
the
planet.
Mississippi River that's bad, and we do need to clean that garbage up. And we got to go
Yes.
clean up Cold Creek up in North County. We have a lot of stuff to clean up. But Vic's right. CO2 scrubs itself. It doesn't seem like it really affects. And Bill Murray, Dave Murray was right.
I wish it was Bill Murray.
Dave Murray was right. This is you know what? He's kind of nonchalant about it, but when you talk to Dave, he's kind of like, man, yeah, this is the world has nothing. There's nothing that a little human is going to do to really affect the planet
nothing.
we're living on.
And the other thing about this is when I was in college and then getting out and getting into TV, I was looking at the possibility. At that time, we were still calling it global warming. I was like, oh, there must be something to this. And then the more people I was around, and there were 2 meteorologists I was around. Wait a second. Gore just, according to a Facebook user, Al Gore admitted yesterday to the WDEF that the Inflation Reduction Act was a green initiative bill. Was a green initiative.
Of course it
bill.
Of course it was.
Yeah.
All
of course.
in the name of climate change.
Yeah, all in the name of climate change. Well, then I started to talk to scientists, aka weathercasters. And then guess what? I met 3 of them who were like, wait a second. This at that point in time, global warming, it isn't real. And I'm like, what?
No.
You're kidding me. And then I started looking at facts and studies, and you have to keep an open mind. If you don't ever keep an open mind to look at actual science and facts on any subject, then you may as well not be talking to anybody.
Yeah.
And then I started to see, wait a second, there's all these scientists, meteorologists who are suppressed and ripped and tried to be canceled when they say, no, the science doesn't add up. And then you look at it, and then you've got thousands on one side, thousands on other. And in my own personal poll, I have yet to meet a conservative meteorologist who says there's global warming or climate change. And I've yet to meet a Democrat, and I know who they are and their opinions, who look at the information and say, of course there's climate change now. The facts all go. So people look, men and women of all ages are looking at numbers or looking at facts for whatever way they want to look at them. I'm not kidding. I've yet to meet a Republican or a Democrat, a liberal or conservative meteorologist who fell on the other side. Not one.
No.
So somebody's not keeping an open mind. And I look
But
at the studies and the facts. I don't see how you could even say there's
But you
such a
got the-
thing
but you-
as climate change
you have
right
the
now.
big boys against any conservative. You have the Discovery Channel. You have National Geographics. You have the Smithsonian Institute.
It's called media.
State-ran media.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But when you're tuning in, don't forget to tune in tonight as Global Crisis on the Discovery Channel.
You're also taught that at an early age. So parents need to be careful about what kids are being taught because you're taught that in science class as well. And in the public school system, you are taught that there is such a thing as climate change.
Don't you
sure are.
Well, absolutely. But don't you think if these people really cared about the earth and our environment, they would put some kind of a ban on pesticides? I mean, we're killing the bees.
Money.
We
It's
have
all
to have
about money.
bees to survive. But no one cares about that, do they? No one cares about the pollution going into the Mississippi. Don't hear anything about that, do we? They're worried about your car being
It is
electric.
brutal.
That's more important than saving the bees. The true causes, saving our ocean, all these dead spots in the ocean where there's no aquatic life because there's so much pollution. What do they don't care about that, do they? Because you know what? If they cared about that half as much as they care about their fake electric cars, we wouldn't have pollution in the ocean.
Well, there's a difference between a tree hugger and a technocrat. And a technocrat is somebody.
Oh, I like that word. I've never heard that word.
Yeah, that's somebody that wants to rule the world, that thinks that that's the new global elite. If you're a technocrat, you own all the stocks to all the technical companies. You literally, every time you sell a product or buy a product from China, you're making money off it. That's a technocrat. They're the ones that dictate the rules to the world leaders. Look at what they're doing to Biden. Okay. Every time they speak, Biden jumps. But there is a difference between a bunch of people from Seattle playing folk music, going out and saving the oceans, than technocrats who jump on a jet and say, we're going to have a piece of this. They're investing in their future. It's the new, Bill Gates is kind of started it all. He went and he tried to rule the world by buying pieces of Africa and farmland and all this other stuff and quietly owning everything. And that's what they're doing. It's time to wake up. It's time to realize everything that the left has tried to push on you over the last 10 years. Dude, you got to scrub it from your mind because it'll kill everything.
But how do we reach out to the people who really need to hear the message? Here, we're kind of preaching to the choir because these folks know.
TikTok. Listen,
we've got to reach the people who don't get it.
TikTok. You think I'm joking? Do you think I'm joking? I'm not kidding.
No, that's
Eric,
I get it.
Instagram.
But Eric, you say TikTok, but yet you have governors like Kristi Noem trying to ban it for employees in the state.
Well, whatever it is,
you have
Reels.
Reels.
How about Facebook Reels? Something that's not owned by China. How about that? Go do it on
what isn't owned by China.
Whatever the 16-year-olds are using right now, go do it. I'm not playing with you. They're not.
No,
you're not going to hear it on
CBS.
Yeah, you're not going to hear it on NBC.
People need to be educated. Did you know? We've talked a lot about the Antarctic. Did you know at one time?
Tomorrow we're going to do a focus on that. I sent
Yeah.
Eric a video about Antarctica yesterday.
Good.
Did you actually watch it all?
I don't know if that's
Come
accurate.
on,
There's a
no.
lot of those
Okay.
old reels that are just
Okay.
Eric, think about this, and we can get into it tomorrow. I won't get into it today, but at one point where the Antarctic is now, there was no ice, and there was a civilization there at one point. There are pyramids there, and there's video. You can see it. There are different things there, and at some point down the future, people don't control this. The Earth controls itself. That will happen again, and that's why countries are there and they're getting ready because that will happen again.
Okay, I'll take your word for it.
Great question. Robert says define. Who said something about the left?
Eric did.
What about it?
Robert says define the left.
The left. It's very simple. Look, I'm not a Republican. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows I'm not a Democrat. I just want to be left alone and finish off my term on this earth just alone. You know what I'm saying? Maybe do a PRL show every now and then. Go see Scotty Gherkin at Diamond Cap, whatever it is. That would be nice. But here's the deal. The left has an agenda. Conservatives don't have an agenda. Listen to me. You guys looking at me? Conservatives don't have an agenda. That's why they're wishy-washy. They just want to live their life. They want to take their kids to soccer camp. They want to come home and make a turkey pot pie and watch some TV.
We're talking Antarctica tomorrow, buddy.
Liberals, on the other hand, they want to invent things that intrude into your life. COVID comes out. They want you to wear a mask. Okay. They want you to get vaccinated. If you don't, you shan't work here.
And you're talking about
Okay.
mostly liberal leaders, not necessarily all the
I'm talking
liberal
about
people.
liberals because it filters down, Tabitha. If SSM's board of directors says you will not work here without a COVID shot, you are either a liberal monkey and you do what they tell you to do, or you quit. That's not what conservatives do. Conservative companies will literally go, look, we recommend you get a shot. I've worked with them. I have worked with people that have over 5,000 employees that say, you know, if you're a conservative ownership group of a company, and this was during the days of the cupcake, they recommended that you got the vaccination. They didn't mandate it. Liberal organizations like SSM, who are subscribed to the CDC, you either get the damn thing or you're not
So
here.
that's what you say the left is regarding the conversation with
they work with
climate change.
It's not just the members of Congress that walk around like fire ants and destroy everything together. You are a part of the team. If you think you're a Democrat now, you are lockstep with those dudes. I'm serious. If you are a Democrat, you're lockstep with AOC.
Well, if you voted for Biden, then you're part of the problem, even if you're a good person. I know a lot of really good Democrats are really nice people, really great people who are liberals. But you know what? If they voted for Biden, then they are part of the problem.
But they don't think that.
Of course they don't think that.
They don't
but
think
I think
that.
sometimes secretly maybe they think in their head, gee, this country's falling apart. Maybe it's my fault because I cast that vote for Biden.
Not the ones I know.
No,
they think that you or me or Eric or somebody else has issues, and we just grew up, we were brainwashed, and
that's why we refer to them as sheep following the shepherd.
Yeah, but the other side always says it. They say that about the other side. Like I said with forecasters, if you're my unofficial experiment, if you're a liberal or Democrat scientist, you think there's climate change. If you're a conservative Republican, you don't.
It makes me wonder about your physician friend. I won't say his name, but the guy that came on the show with us, the triage guy, the ER dude.
Yep.
Is he liberal?
Which triage guy?
He was a physician. He's what was his name?
Dr. Tannehill?
Okay, Tannehill. You said it.
I don't know. Oh, no,
is he a liberal?
No, he's
conservative.
There's no way.
Very conservative.
There's no way.
We talked about it in the show. He said he couldn't say it, but I know him personally.
What does he say behind his closed doors?
Are you kidding me? You want to talk about First Amendment rights, gun rights?
Fine, that's fine. But he
was
Washington,
Missouri
he pushed
guy
the hell out of that vaccine
on his farm.
Vaccine on us.
Who did he work for?
Amen, brother.
He worked.
Ooh, that's creepy.
You
just made that hackles stand up.
He worked for Mercy.
Damn, creepy.
We already know what happened with that whole.
Are they ever going to apologize?
Hell no.
Are you think they're ever going to apologize? That says that says natural immunity was way better than anything you could get out of them.
No, because they're going to say they were doing what they were told because nobody takes responsibility. Say, well, this is what we were told to do. This was our hospital motto. Or then the hospital says, well, this is what we were told to do from the national standpoint. This is what the Health and Human Services Department told us to do.
Dude, did you ever think about this? My ADD is really kicked in today, but have you ever thought about this? That if these people would just apologize and say, hey, we got it wrong, that we as Americans, as we would basically say, we forgive you. Wouldn't you say that we forgive you?
No. Well,
I would.
Americans forget.
I would love to know what Tabitha's doing over there.
No, I asked her.
Did her smoke machine go down or something like that?
No.
Tabitha.
My lights turned around, but they blind you if you don't close your eyes. So then it's hard to reposition them with your eyes open.
So you basically you screwed up the show because your eyes were getting all jacked up from that little blue light.
No. I must have kicked it by accident.
Okay, I see. Never mind.
I just couldn't fix it.
I don't want to wreck your
vibe. Blinds you.
I don't want to wreck your vibe over there. But no, it's fit because I was thinking about it yesterday. I was thinking if these people just apologized, if Biden just came out on screen. Look at me. Why are you laughing at me?
Because nobody's apologizing.
But no, I'm just saying.
Republicans don't apologize either.
Don't you think?
I'm not apologizing to anyone.
Nobody apologizes.
Don't you think that there's so much stuff that has happened in the last 6 years that if people just came out and said, look, this COVID thing we just didn't know about. We tried to protect you as well as we could. We really screwed the pooch. If you guys got cupcaked go check yourself, because myocarditis is a real thing. Go check with somebody. If Biden just came out on behind the podium and say, dudes, listen to me. You caught me. Or you caught us. We have documents. Listen, we're sorry. We're sorry. It did happen. It happens with presidents. I'm sorry. We're taking care of it. We just can't comment on it right now. Does it look bad? Yes, it does. I'm sorry. CO2. Listen, Al Gore was a moron. We apologize for him. He basically said we should our global temperature should have been about 10 degrees higher than it is right now. It's not. If you want to buy property in Miami, go ahead. I was wrong. Don't you think that we would look at them as okay, all right, you're human, you screwed up?
Yes, Eric, but that's never happening.
Why?
Because that's not how it works. People don't come out and apologize for anything because, number one, there's lawsuits.
Isn't that what you're supposed to do?
Or there can be lawsuits. Number two, you'll lose your voting base or whatever base you have. Number three, nobody's going to trust you anymore. You won't be trusted in politics. No, that's why politicians don't apologize.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems to me like
the only time that politicians apologize is when they're caught in affairs.
Yeah.
And that's the only time.
Is it?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Or
love triangle stuff. Yeah, you're right.
I mean, you're not going to get the apologies. It's nice, Eric. I mean, it's nice when you come up with the thoughts.
I know. It's like
if everybody just did what you said.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. I'm a member.
Do
of
what
Congress.
Eric says.
I had sex with a Chinese spy, but I'm sorry, guys.
And then
I loved her.
And then I'm going to go after everybody else, which is what he did to try to make everybody forget.
Speaking of Swalwell, yes.
Yeah, I know. Swalwell. Why can't Swalwell just come out, and apologize? Say, look, she was hot. I saw her in a bar. I didn't know she was a CCP spy, and
maybe she wasn't.
She was.
Are you sure? I saw pictures.
She was. What you mean that she was hot or she was a spy?
No, you're not going to know if there's a spy, Eric.
She was a spy.
Whether she was hot.
Whether she was hot. Well, that's a subjective thing.
Yes, it is.
I can't talk. I can't speak to that. There's a lot of people into. Never mind.
Well, we know you have a revolving door, so.
Oh, bull crap!
You told us so.
I do not.
I don't want to hear anything about Eric's door.
It was a revolving door.
No, there's no revolving anything.
Well, I think
I spent my whole life watching MASH episodes. Who would want that? Go ahead. I'm sorry. Back to the show.
Yeah. By the way,
I'm just saying, there's something to be said about apologizing if you're a politician. Moving on.
No one's ever going to apologize for anything ever, Eric. I'm not ever going to apologize for
even
how
if you're wrong?
I feel.
Even if you're wrong?
I'm not wrong.
I'll
I'm not
apologize.
saying
I'm
not
even when
saying right about
Tabitha's wrong, she
everything.
won't apologize.
That's
So I
not
get
true.
it.
I'll apologize right now for everything I've said on this show that was wrong.
Yes.
Everything. Now you have to prove to me that it was wrong. But if it was wrong, I apologize.
You're still waiting to give $100 bill out.
I am.
But you did say a Democrat.
I almost had
liberal.
to use. I don't. Yes. If you are let's go through the exercise one more time. If you're a liberal, if you're a practicing Democrat, if you are Sam Page, if you are Tashara Jones, and you want to come on this show and say, Eric, I just want to sit you down and I want to tell you why liberalism is the way of the world and why you need to subscribe to it. And if I go, damn, you made some damn good points. I cannot rebut any of this stuff. I will give you $100, but you have to be damn good.
I'm so confused. I thought you already were a liberal.
No, see, Tab, you say mean things to me. You think that's nice? That's not very nice.
I'm sorry. You're right.
You're right.
Nice.
That is not.
You're
nice.
a libertarian on Sundays.
I'm a libertarian. I'm only a libertarian because it sounds like what I liberty-arian. That's what I feel like.
I don't think you're a libertarian.
Really? What do you think
that's
I am?
all right.
What do you think I am?
You're a Republican.
No, God, please no. No. I think of Republicans. I think of Mitch McConnell.
You don't want to call yourself a Republican because you're a band guy. You're a creative.
Well, so is Ted Nugent.
And if you're a creative, you don't want to be associated with being Republican because that's not cool and you'll get canceled.
No, I have. Look, whatever I am, I'm not afraid to admit it.
You're a Republican.
I'm not a Republican. No, I will say this. The Democrats have gotten it wrong and right on a lot of social things. I'm sorry, they
like
just have.
What?
If you rights for everybody,
and who's deciding
rights
what's right?
For everybody, rights for everybody. Everybody is right in the United States. How can you look? I know it's going to piss a lot of you guys off. I do think that gay rights, it should be a thing. I'm sorry, you want to get married and you're gay, have fun. Invite us to the
What
the
about
post party.
abortion? Did you know in Texas they just announced
That's different.
yesterday or the day before that in the state of Texas when they banned abortion, guess what? Abortion went down by 100%.
Okay, fantastic.
100%.
I'm not a big abortion person. I'm sorry, I'm just not. But I will say this: the Republicans lost the last election on that issue.
I don't agree with that. I think they cheated, and then somebody came back and said, "Oh, that's because conservatives really wanted abortion, so they voted against it." I don't believe that.
Very interesting. I know, and everybody has their opinion on it.
The last election is a master class in the Democrats. The Democrats should have lost 50 seats in the House, and we should have taken back the Senate. And they didn't, because you know what they did, Tabitha? Look at my eyes. I'm telling you right now, because they went, democracy means something, and abortion. They want to come take your abortion. Boom. They basically got off the hook.
There is no way that Republicans didn't have a red wave because of abortion.
Those-
They didn't
right.
have a red wave
Oh, wait a minute. Are
because
we
of
agreeing on that?
cheating.
I can't tell. Are we
Cheating.
agreeing?
Cheating.
Are we agreeing?
I don't know.
Do-
I'm not sure what you said.
Well, listen to me. Open your ears and look when I'm talking to you. Abortion and not the economy. They couldn't run on the economy. Abortion and democracy is important. You got to protect the democracy of the United States.
The Republic of the United States,
right.
yes.
You have to protect that. And people went to the voting booth and somehow they voted for it. And I'll say another couple of things. Trump screwed Pennsylvania and he screwed Georgia. He put two candidates in there that should have never been in politics. Now moving back
he's not perfect.
Now moving back to cupcakes.
No, he's not perfect.
No, he's not perfect. And he had a lot of mistakes, but he also had a lot of successes as well.
Yeah. He did, but he didn't have enough successes to have a red wave. He had a red dribble.
But
it was a pink
boom
wave.
Goes the dynamite, Tabby, from Kevin.
Yeah.
So true. I mean, there were some of these issues we got into talking about when it comes to climate change and where we are and where these world leaders are trying to take us and where people feel we're going. And by the way, we're going to talk Antarctica tomorrow. So study up, Eric. We have a lot of people and a lot of listeners who've studied up.
I want pictures.
What do you want pictures of?
I want pictures of where the aliens live.
It's not all about aliens. I mean, there is some talk of aliens in the Antarctic, but the majority of our conversation isn't about that. It's about what's actually really going on in the Antarctic.
What's going on?
Well, we'll talk. I guess we'll talk about it tomorrow.
Well, aliens is the only thing I've heard.
That's one of many, many things. One of many things.
Okay. See, that's where
there's a lot of military activity.
That's
in the
where you
Antarctic
guys start
right
to
now.
lose me a little bit. Is when we go into Sillyville.
Well, what could be Sillyville is what you don't understand or what us as Americans don't know.
True.
So if we don't know something,
exactly,
or if we're not familiar with it with anything in life, your first impression is to shoo it away.
Yeah.
Oh, this can't happen. No way. No way.
Yeah.
No way. No way. This is all. And then once you start to see it and believe it, then you're like, oh,
now
now I'll accept it.
I could believe this, that the Earth's in 50 trillion years of being in existence or whatever it is, that there was a civilization down there at some point. Maybe that was well, it wasn't
equator. Covered with ice at one point in time. There was no ice.
Maybe that was the equator at some point, and they had pyramids there like they do in South America, like they do in Egypt.
Well, it wasn't the equator, but
how do you know? Were you here?
What's interesting about the Antarctic, and we can get into this tomorrow, is that think about this. Did you ever go out to the country where it's really dark and you can see all the stars?
Yes.
And that's because there's no light. Here, if you go outside, let's say in the city of St. Louis, it's very difficult to see the sky and the stars because of all the lights around you.
Right.
Well, in the Antarctic, there's almost zero lights.
Okay.
Almost zero light. So that means you have a much clearer and better picture of space.
Okay.
And that's why we have so many scientists in the Antarctic studying space. A lot of astronomers in the Antarctic stationed at these various they're science institutions, but they are protected by the government. So technically they are military bases.
Gotcha.
And that's what we're getting into.
I've never seen Vic so excited about a topic than Antarctica. I haven't. He's not this excited about Mizzou football. That's for damn sure.
No, I'm not.
Well, I don't know what video. What was the video that you watched, or did you watch it?
Admiral Byrd, who was commissioned with doing an exploration. I don't want to get into it.
I know what you're talking about. I just didn't know what you had said.
And I do believe that he went on these missions.
Absolutely.
Oh, he definitely did.
And it's documented.
Yeah,
absolutely
he definitely did. There is no doubt about that. That is documented.
And that's why I'm saying it's not really conspiracy. You know, a lot of this, it's documented. You can see it. we know the Earth's cyclical pattern of weather. We know at one point there was not ice in the Antarctic, and we know that at some point in the future there won't be ice there again.
We do.
We do.
Are the ice shelves really going into the ocean and making the ocean levels go higher?
The Earth, look how much the Earth has changed. I mean, at one point, where the Mississippi River is, which is how we now have the New Madrid Fault, that at one point tried to separate and make its own continent. And it did. The separation failed, but now there's a fault line there because the separation failed.
It's kind of like it's like Benifer. They tried to separate,
I mean, like,
but they
look
just
at
couldn't do it.
look at the Bering Strait.
It's like Benifer. They're like, we got to get away from each other. No, we love you.
That's with a lot of people, Eric.
Yeah, sure. Brad and Jen.
It happens a lot. It's interesting too because I was in California. I heard this more than once, even from my own family. Well, everyone wants to talk about California and all the earthquakes and how we're going to break off and fall into the ocean.
There you go.
Look where one of the biggest fault lines is. It's right through Missouri.
Yes.
Dun, dun, dun.
And it's been very active lately.
Like, you should live in California as opposed to living in mid-Missouri.
We're far overdue. We're about 50 years overdue for an earthquake.
I tell you what, I've been in LA and I was sleeping on the floor at an apartment right on Sunset Strip. And there was a 6.5 or whatever it was. And it was not like anything I've ever felt in St. Louis. That's for damn sure. I was like, we're dead. We are going down. It stopped, Eric. Don't worry about it. Here's a beer. Chill out. No, the West Coast earthquakes are the real damn deal. As a matter of fact, when I was in Shooting Star, we played at the Cow Palace. I think it was the Cow Palace. And it was right after the big earthquake hit
Northridge
during the World Series with the Oakland and San Francisco. Do you remember that?
Was that the Northridge earthquake? The really
in San Francisco
back in the 80s?
Yeah, it was in
really
San Francisco, the one that pancaked all the highways.
Was the Northridge.
Yeah, and obviously that show got canceled. But I remember being out there and seeing some of the damage. I wasn't there when the earthquake happened, but you want to see earthquakes.
It looked, but you know what, Eric? If the New Madrid Fault has an earthquake like it did in 1811 and 1812, the damage here will be just as bad, if not worse, than the damage you saw in Northridge.
Really?
Yes.
Don't you think that we would have had some shakers going on?
We do. Go look at the USCG map. There's constantly earthquakes. There's been a huge uptake. As a matter of fact, here in the state of Missouri, they have people here right now. They've been here for months planning escape routes for people in the event of the big earthquake.
Yeah.
They have scientists from all over the world here in Missouri right now planning escape routes.
I'm not
because it will happen.
I don't
it's
disagree
just a matter
with you.
of when.
I don't disagree with you, but every time Dave Murray would come on and say, we had an earthquake here in St. Louis, it was a 2.1. I was like,
and you didn't feel it.
I didn't feel it.
No, but wait till the 8.5 hits out in New Madrid. My son's house is right on top of that fault line. It terrifies me. But if the big one hits,
what county
and it's
is
overdue,
that?
Mississippi County or New Madrid. There's a bunch of different. It's a big.
You know what? I do remember
fault line. It's
Seattle,
also New Madrid County.
Not to talk over you, but in Seattle, I worked at this place called KJR, and I was in an earthquake, and KJR was in a building that was built on springs. The building was built for an earthquake, and the only thing that happened where my speakers fell off in front of me that just shook the speakers off, and we walked very calmly outside, and I think it was like a 5-point something that hit Seattle.
But we're not ready for that here. Most of our buildings are not built.
I know. They were built in the 1800s.
Well, they redid the Poplar Street Bridge a couple years ago to prepare it for a big earthquake.
Yeah.
Whether it'll help, I don't know.
Yeah.
But they have been starting to prepare.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
Jeannie says 15 years ago we had an earthquake. I thought the dog was moving in bed. Nope, it was an earthquake.
Well, we had one, 2 years ago? As a matter of fact, I was just pulling into the parking house over at some place in Frontenac at that Social 101 or whatever that place is. And I didn't feel it. It was at around 5:30 in the afternoon, but several people I know did feel it here.
You sure
in
there's
St.
one
Louis.
Gunshots in the parking garage?
Yeah, really. It was a bazooka.
In Frontenac. Come on, there's no gunshots in Frontenac.
The kids from St. Louis were bringing their bazookas down.
And like John said, the 1811 quake would now be expected to completely devastate.
Oh, no doubt.
St. Louis.
St. Louis
it would
get
destroy
rocked.
St. Louis.
That's all brick. It's all old brick. St. Louis would come down and it would be gone. Maybe that's what we need. Just to get rid of all those old
you might not survive it.
No,
Eric, if there's like a 30-minute head start where we could get everybody
being funny,
out of there.
but there's a lot of people work there. That would be a lot of death.
No, it would.
And like Aaron said, look at Yellowstone. If the Yellowstone volcano erupts, we're all history. We
yeah,
would be like
that's another
toast.
thing. I'd love to have a geological scientist on here to talk about that, because we hear about that stuff, and that's the stuff. If I was in 5th grade and I heard about that in my 5th grade science class, like, if you think a nuclear weapon going after Hiroshima was bad, wait till the Yellowstone volcano goes off. It will take out everything. I would have nightmares still to this day.
Feels like a Friday, doesn't
Would
it,
they
Scotty?
still be able to have the Yellowstone show?
No, it would be
They would be obliterated
Yeah,
off the face of
everything
the earth.
would be gone.
Netflix would call it Yellowstone the day after.
Probably the only thing take down John Dutton.
Robert says, feeling an earthquake, of which one I've never been in.
Yeah.
I'm experienced with hurricanes and tornadoes, not earthquakes yet.
Okay.
I don't even know if I could tell you what an earthquake feels like. He says it has to do more with the depth of which it was happening,
Correct.
not
There you go.
And that's the issue that
not the Richter scale.
and that's the problem in New Madrid is the depth.
It's not very
Exactly.
high.
No, it's the exact opposite.
Oh,
Yes.
In New Madrid, if we have an earthquake there, an 8.5 there would feel like something something the earth has never
Really?
experienced. I mean, think about this. Whenever the earthquake hit in 1811, then they had the big aftershock in 1812, the earth liquefied. It was rolling like waves. The Mississippi River ran backwards. It turned into a waterfall in one area.
She has video of this.
Completely, I was there. Completely decimated everything. If you go out to this area, like I said, my son's house is in Charleston, Missouri. If you go out there, you can see the sand where the sand plumes were.
if
that came
Tabitha
up
was
from
my
the
mom, I would never
liquefaction.
go out of the house. Never. Never. I would be so.
Before you got here today, she
You'd be
had us
very
all-
well informed, Eric.
Oh my God! If
My
Tabitha,
son knows more about this stuff than I
No,
do.
that's-
Cue the end of the world
I
music.
know. I'm gonna write a book called "If Tabitha Was My Mom." This could be a children's book.
We still got to do
Tab
that
was
reading
my
of the end
mom.
of the world with the music behind
Yeah.
it for Tab.
Yes.
with her comments today, right before you got here, Eric. She reminded us we have to be afraid because we're going to be invaded
By who?
by China, Russia,
Really?
China.
Saudi Arabia, India.
We're a weak country. I'm saying
They're coming on the
We have the
coast.
biggest
I'm
moats on the
saying-
planet. We have the Atlantic Ocean and the Pacific Ocean. Those are big moats.
we're letting people
So is
in
the
our
Gulf of
southern
Mexico.
border.
Could you
Eric.
imagine?
They
if,
don't need to come
could you-
across the ocean.
Could you imagine if China tied up over at in Los Angeles and started taking tanks off? We would look at them like, "What are you crazy dudes doing over there?"
We probably wouldn't care.
No.
And people
Biden,
in LA,
Biden would.
California,
Biden be welcome.
can we give you some money?
Yeah.
Can we give you some dinner?
No, invasions don't mean the same thing as they did back in 1940, Tabitha.
But that's funny,
I'm
though.
sorry to tell
No.
you that.
Okay, well, we already have an invasion
No one's
going
getting
on.
invaded.
She's right.
Our
we do.
southern border is wide
We are
open,
being
and you don't think that's why we call it the Trojan horse. You don't think that terrorists
No, that's true.
and bad actors are crossing. They're
Amen, sister.
already here
Keep preaching.
in our country. They're
That's right.
already here. We
I hear
don't
ya.
have to let them in.
You're right.
Eric Mary says, don't laugh. The Japanese gave us all a wake up call.
The Japanese, right? Look, guys.
But that was before a bomb
We're
was
too
dropped.
comfortable thinking just
Look,
because it's
guys.
never happened that no one's going to attack us on our own soil.
Look, guys, we have to be accurate on this show. There's no
Buttons
one going
will
to
be pressed.
There's no one going to take over Alaska. Hawaii is safe. If
Russia is 2.5 miles from Alaska.
who
Did
cares?
you know that?
And their
2.5 miles.
and their tanks were built in 1941, so it's not going to
Oh,
happen.
okay. So
Now-
don't discredit
Oh,
Russia.
boy.
They have been holding their
Oh, boy.
own.
I didn't mean to make you mad.
And you're not making me mad. But I'm just saying, don't discredit Russia because I'll tell you what, right now, Russia
Yeah.
is fighting a war against the entire West.
They are.
The entire
And
world.
they are continuing to win.
Okay.
So we cannot discredit Russia.
Okay.
Russia.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Well, if you're Russia and you're fighting against the whole world, it would be like Alabama taking on Mizzou.
They
it
are
would just
fighting-
It would be a bloodbath.
They are fighting a good portion of the world. They're fighting
It
the
might be
United States
decent
and all
for
of
a
Europe.
half.
It would not be decent.
I
for
agree with you,
anything.
Tabitha. They are.
It'd be
They're-
decent for pregame. That's about it.
Scotty agrees with me. 'cause he's smart.
Tailgating would be great.
I agree with Scotty too, but I don't believe we're anybody's rushing into this country
I
in
don't-
this lifetime.
I don't.
No,
I'm
I
not
don't
saying
think
that
anyone
They can come
tries
into this
that.
country
no.
Not successfully
illegally,
anyway.
illegally better anyway through
I-
Canada and Mexico.
I think that we're pushing the lines right now with Russia. I've always believed that we were so
Okay.
powerful
All right.
that we could never be invaded or be attacked in our own country.
Okay.
But we are weak right now. We've sent all of our weapons
Yeah.
to Ukraine.
Yeah.
We have no way to really
not
defend
all,
ourselves.
not
Not
all.
all, But
And we do have
you-
enough to defend ourselves. We're just in a weakened state.
a very weakened state. And you know what? Other folks take advantage of us when we're in a weakened state. Look at how many times
Yes.
Russia has threatened us recently with nuclear weapons.
Okay.
To the point where we created PSAs to play on television stations. Parts of New York, if you go, they have PSAs on the walls that tell you how to prepare for a nuclear attack. Don't think it can't happen. We can't be complacent.
I'm not talking about nuclear weapons, but no one's going to, they're not going to drop troop transports in Portland
Of
and
course
start
they're
evading
not.
across the
Of
United
course they're not, because they
States.
would be obliterated.
Yeah. But that
we
would be
still
fun.
have
That
an
red,
amazing military.
that Red Dawn thing would be kind of fun for a weekend, I think. The-
For a weekend.
yeah. The Red Dawn experience.
But there's different types of invasion.
Yeah,
They
we're
would
done
sell
with this. I wanna go
sponsorships
back.
to it. They would sell sponsorships to it. Meet us in Defiance is Red Dawn weekend. It's $100 a person.
Oh my God.
Sorry.
All right. We're gonna take a quick break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. We're not going anywhere. We've got another hour coming back on Cancel This Podcast. Matt Gaetz and Republicans now coming out and saying we've been saying for days. This certainly looks like the Democrats are getting rid of Joe Biden. Oh yeah.
I don't know,
Bum,
man.
bum, bum. We'll get into that.
I think
We'll get your opinion on that, Eric. That's why we do the podcast. Something near and dear to my heart. Now we have connections with George Soros and at least 57 media companies and media members. We'll explain what's going on and how they're linked, including one Lester Holt.
Has he responded to that?
You don't respond. No, you don't ascend to the highest positions in these liberal state-run media networks unless you're part of the game, unless you're part of the team.
I bet Mike Bush is under Soros'
Oh my
control.
God.
I bet,
Who's
I bet-
Mike Bush?
I bet-
Who's Mike Bush?
I bet Mike Bush has a lot of money from George Soros. You know that's right too. I'm not even lying.
Mike just has a bunch of Emmys. He collects.
Yeah,
He sends in every year like awards, like 15.
he didn't even win him.
He
He didn't even win him.
He's got a whole room full of them.
Yeah.
He's got a lot.
George just sent him a box of Emmys. So put these
All
on.
right,
our
we're gonna
show.
we'll come back with those topics plus more. If there's something else you want us to get into, jump in. Let's cancel this. Scotty Gherkin, Eric Johnson, Tabitha the Hassle. I'm Vic Faust.
There's a lot of
And welcome back to Cancel This, everybody. I am Vic Faust with Tap of the Hassle, Eric Johnson, and Scotty Gherkin. CancelThisShow.com. CancelThisShow.com. Share the show. Let everybody know what we've got going on. We appreciate the amount of viewers that we're getting, the views that we're getting not only today, tomorrow, and people who are going back and checking out all of the original content. You can also join the show. We have the number scrolling at the bottom of your screen for our listeners, or actually who are watching it live. You can text at 636-515-4892, 636-515-4892. You can also jump in the show as you do by texting. Join us video link. Have a conversation with us if you want to do that. You're certainly welcome. Or you can join our chat line as well. A lot of things that are going on in the news every day, which is why we do what we do. News, politics, newsmakers, headline society, and cancel culture education. With that being said, it's very fascinating to see the things that are happening right now. The WEF is currently underway. Did it finish, or how long does this go?
I believe it's
The World
still
Economic Forum?
taking place.
Well,
I don't know how. I think it lasts a week, 2
The
weeks.
World Economic Forum.
They all end up at Denny's afterwards.
Yes.
When we're done here.
I think so.
Meet you guys at Denny's.
No, it's going on. It goes on for however long. It's become a global
Catastrophe.
situation meeting.
Oh.
But I don't think it's that big of a deal when people start talking about, like, we had commenters. Oh, well, Governor Pritzker was there.
I think it's a huge deal.
It is a huge
why
deal.
Why do you think it's a huge deal?
I think that because
Kirsten
is Governor
Sinema said
Parson
she would
there?
never
No,
go there.
because and that's exactly right. Governor Parson would never, ever. Trump would never go to a WEF meeting.
I think he did. Actually,
Did he?
I think he did. He went over to Davos and he was the America First president. I remember that. But I don't remember. I don't remember much about it, but I do think he actually did
I
go
have to
over
look
there.
that up.
I mean, Joe Manchin just went over there.
Anyone, unless you're spying on them, anyone who is against their new world order and this great reset, they need to check.
Well,
check
you
these
sent
folks
video. Somebody else is there that you found
Correct.
very interesting. You sent video to Scott to play. Who's there, and why did you find this video fascinating?
That would be Albert Bourla, and he is the CEO of Pfizer, and he's there. What's so interesting about this video is there's a group out there, they're called Rebel News, and I love these guys. Every time they have one of these WEF meetings, these guys just hammer the people that are there. And if you've ever seen them put together one of these WEF meetings that they have, they completely change the entire town. So what you see is not what's really there. It's all a facade. They put up these storefronts across the stores that were already there. There's videos of that out there. These guys get there early and they will show videos of them putting up these storefronts in facades on top of these stores, but they catch people and they're going from the meeting to restaurants and back and forth, and they catch them on the street. They're like an on the street crew, and they just
lots of
hammer
Republican
these people
governors have gone
to the WEF meetings. I would be very much questioning that, because to me, why would you need to go to a World Economic Forum meeting if you're not part of their organization?
True, but let's say
unless you're spying.
But let's say it's not this year.
Yes.
Let's say it's maybe 6 years ago with whatever Vic just said. Who do you know who the governors were? I mean,
Governor Kemp.
Kemp.
He's been one that we were told that went there.
Well, I don't like him. So
Trump went there as our America First president.
Yeah.
Also, we had who's the governor of? Snyder. He was governor of Michigan.
Yep. So I would say this is look, the green agenda.
St. Louis's own Ann Wagner.
Well,
the green agenda is only a few years old. You see what I'm saying? This is kind of a new thing. This is like the green agenda right now. Think of it like this. Is like when Guns N' Roses was popular and then Nirvana came out. Nirvana killed all the hair bands. So the Green Initiative is kind of like the Nirvana of world policies. So this is a new thing.
So what's this video?
The video, we'll play it. They're just hammering Albert Bourla from Pfizer with all of these questions.
Go.
It's fantastic.
Go.
Rock and roll.
When we have...
Hold on.
This is
trying something new.
Mr. Bourla, can I ask you, when did you know that the vaccines didn't stop transmission? How long did you know that without saying it
immediately? So
right, hold on.
I'm cool with that.
I'm going to have to bring this tab back over.
I like what you're doing here.
I'm going to have to go back. Everyone's talking about Trump going to the WEF meeting and how he absolutely slammed them on communism.
He did.
If you I don't know that the vaccines didn't stop transmission, but why did you keep it secret?
Called the World Economic Forum.
You said it was 100% effective.
Why wouldn't you
then
go?
90%, then 80%.
Participating in world economics. Of course you'll go. Whether you're a governor or a president or a councilman or a senator, of course you'll go. But the problem is you have these very uppity elites now who are driving initiatives that conservatives just do not subscribe to. So you can't be a conservative anymore and go to this thing. Now, I would make the case that you should go because it's a unelected group of people who are trying to rule your life. So I would imagine that we should send some representation over there saying, trying to shove solar panels down our throats is probably not a great idea.
All right, let's try this now.
Mr. Bourla, can I ask you, when did you know that the vaccines didn't stop transmission? How long did you know that without saying it publicly?
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Answer that question. I mean, we now know that the vaccines didn't stop transmission, but why did you keep it secret? You said it was 100% effective, then 90%, then 80%, then 70%. But we now know that the vaccines do not stop transmission. Why did you keep that secret?
Have a nice day.
I won't have a nice day until I know the answer. Why did you keep it a secret that your vaccine did not stop transmission?
Is it time to apologise to the world, sir? To give refunds back to the countries that poured all their money into your vaccine that doesn't work, your ineffective vaccine?
Yeah, you have a little bit around.
Are you not ashamed of what you've done in the last couple of years?
Do you have any apologies to the public, sir?
Are you proud of it? You've made millions on the backs of people's entire livelihoods. How does that feel to walk the streets as a millionaire on the backs of the regular person at home in Australia, in England, in Canada?
What do you think about on your yacht, sir? What do you think about on your private jet? Are you worried about product liability? Are you worried about myocarditis?
What about the sudden deaths?
What do you have to say about young men dropping dead of heart attacks every day? Why won't you answer these basic questions? No apology, sir.
Do you think you should be charged criminally for some of the criminal behaviour you've obviously been a part of?
How much money have you personally made off the vaccine?
How many boosters do you think it'll take for you to be happy enough with your earnings? Nothing?
Who did you meet with here in secret? Will you disclose who you met with? Who did you pay commissions to? In the past,
I don't think he's gonna
Pfizer
answer any
has
of it.
paid $2.3 billion in fines for deceptive marketing. Have you engaged in that same conduct again? Are you under investigation like you were before for your deceptive marketing, sir?
If any other product in the world doesn't work as promised, you get a refund. Should you not refund to countries that laid out billions for your ineffective vaccine?
Wow. Are you used to only sympathetic media, so you don't know how to answer any questions?
Good question.
Shame on you, sir.
Shame on you.
All great questions.
That's Albert Bourla, the boss of Pfizer.
Of course, he's not going to answer.
His people were pushing us around a little bit.
Mate, he's pretty fit. I don't reckon he's had one jab.
I'm huffing and puffing a bit. At least I didn't have any myocarditis.
I dare say he's shocked that in his safe space at the WEF here in Davos that he was challenged in a way that he's never to date been challenged.
Well, that's the thing. We're not accredited media here. We're on the outside of the perimeter. So he's only...
Yeah, but if 4 million people now saw this video, does that make them an accredited video news organization?
Well,
I would argue
Rebel
yes.
News has been around for a long time.
Yeah,
I would
been
argue
around.
They're not
yes.
new.
They're not new?
No, not at all.
Okay. Are they credited? I think they
What
are.
do you
I mean,
mean?
by what do you mean
What
by
does that mean?
credited?
They
Are we
stuck
credited?
a microphone in someone's face that
Yeah.
has that basically
You could do that with cancel this. We get you a mic flag.
We'll
that
get you a street
to
cam.
me, that makes the case for anybody on the planet Earth is an accredited news organization. Right there, what you just saw was legitimately confirmed. The Pfizer CEO, you confirmed, they were walking around with a microphone with a, I don't know if
Correct.
they had a flag on the microphone. I couldn't see it, but they had a microphone
They
and the
did.
guy was not answering questions. And we all know that not answering a question is answering a question. When you cannot answer,
No,
especially
sometimes. Not all the
these
time.
were easy questions.
Some
to
of them
answer.
were, but here's the problem, Eric. We want those answers. He looks stupid, but you're also told if you're the owner of a company or CEO or whatever, anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law
True.
at some point in time.
True.
And I've learned this, or at least I learned it over my many years in news. Just because somebody doesn't give you an answer doesn't mean it's wrong. However, in this case, we know it is. And by the way, the Pfizer guy, he did tell us, because I learned
He
it from
did.
Tabitha. 3 or 4 months before the vaccine was released, they said this was not going to stop transmission.
That is correct.
And then the mainstream media covered it up.
That's
Did
exactly,
they?
yeah. We talked about it.
100 back on the war on COVID.
We
We
did.
talked about
We
it.
talked about it in the war on COVID. And I've been preaching this since day one, that before the vaccine was even released, this guy probably felt like he was forced to make a statement. And he did make a public statement. We read it back on war on COVID.
Yes, we did.
And he said, this vaccine does not stop transmission. It does not prevent COVID, but the media completely buried it.
And then he didn't go back and say anything else
And then
against
that was
it
the
afterwards
end.
because they had to push the vaccine.
That's right. He
Whether
was
you
probably
wanted to use it
right.
or not.
Exactly.
It's true.
He was
Eric, it
probably
was-
told to shut up, I'm sure.
No, it just proves to me.
It does. And when you don't talk, you do look more guilty.
Yeah.
You are 100% right by saying that, Tammy.
The reason they're little devils is because the world was relying on them. And to some extent, if you want to be honest about this, Donald Trump said we are on Operation Warp Speed. If you want to be across the board true and not look like a hack on one side or the other, Trump was the guy that said we're going to get this taken care of. And he relied on these guys to go produce a vaccine.
Trump
okay?
completely backed the vaccine, remember?
He sure did.
And then he kind of went against it, didn't he, afterwards?
Not
there
really.
There were reports of his son, Barron, having massive problems because of getting vaccinated.
I did not know that.
I did not know
was
that
a report
either.
that I saw. I wish I could say it 100%. I do not think that he is 100% behind vaccines anymore. I don't.
And maybe he is not now. I know he was 100% behind the I word and the H word.
Yes. Well, he was behind everything. He did.
But he pushed the vaccine.
He
cupcake,
did
I
have
should
the
say.
kitchen sink thrown at him with all of the.
And he did go against the mandates, yes, Jeannie.
Aaron says no. He's still pushing it in interviews. So there you go.
Well, because it's
well, he
thinks,
can't. He can't do anything else.
Well, he says take
Well,
it
he
if you
could.
want, and that's what it should be. It should be take it if you want, not one of these situations where, oh my God, if you didn't take it, how dare you?
Yeah.
And he
You
probably
hate
thought he
life.
could trust the doctors in the beginning.
Yeah.
And then he quickly learned, like the rest of us did,
Yeah, now
You
that's not going to
cannot
be a good idea.
trust the healthcare system.
Yeah.
Bad. And sometimes if you rely on people and they screw you, well, that's on you, and it
Yeah.
sucks, and that's kind of how life goes.
And we all learned a lot.
Well, I mean, yeah. So Rebel News doing that, putting a guy on spot. I
Good
mean,
for him.
that's, I guarantee. And I was surprised too that a man of that stature or that title would be walking basically alone with one or two guys who were not intimidating looking guys by any means either down the street for that long of a period. And that doesn't happen.
And most people wouldn't even know who he was. These guys have been right on top of it from day one. I wonder if George Soros walks down the street alone in Davos.
No, he's got an entourage.
Repeat that again.
Does George Soros walk down the
No.
street alone in
Why-
Davos
No.
with all his
no.
buddies
I don't know.
in America?
I'm glad you brought him up because we were talking about getting to him.
I never even see him in anything. He arrives at a venue and he does like a speech here and there on a stage in front of a podium. But that's about all I ever see of him. You never see him like, oh, we caught George Soros out in Manhattan at his favorite restaurant.
Yeah,
You never see
I
him.
don't know if he spends a lot of time in the United States. If he did,
Exactly.
we would know. I believe his son spends a lot of time in the United States, from what I understand.
Who
is-
will be taking over the operation, by the way, Eric?
His son, right?
Yeah. And Soros, as we were promoting, we're always talking about, we know that he supports mayors with his agenda, open society, anything goes, less
Prosecutors.
people in prison, not prosecuting. If you didn't know any better, you would think it was pure chaos. I'm just calling it for what it is. Well, now a conservative watch group has tied George Soros to at least 54 influential media figures as well through groups funded by his liberal groups. We're talking about journalists and companies from CNN, surprise, surprise, NBC. Oh, yeah. CBS, of course, Bloomberg, no doubt. NPR, yeah, takes the cake there. Washington Post, among industry leaders tied to millions of dollars. What happens is George Soros put about $131 million between 2016 and last year
Jeez.
into straight media groups.
Wow.
These are with all kinds of names,
Wow.
with certain journalists being a part of these groups. Well, guess what happens? Money goes to those groups that the journalists are associated with, and you guess what happens from there. These journalists include such people like Lester Holt. Oh, yeah, Lester straight. Look at Lester Holt's reporting and anchoring on COVID, or cupcakes, you name it, any sort of remedy. The lack of talking about problems with that stuff, with the election. Look through it. Who is he tied to? Yeah, Lester Holt, NBC News. Christine
Crazy.
Amanpour,
Oh,
no
man.
surprise there, with CNN.
Yeah, no surprise there.
Yeah, of course. Several reporters with the Washington Post. No surprise there. These things were happening. Also, you've got situations where the groups, there are multiple groups with different names. You're talking $1 million here, $5 million there, $10 million here. And the study, which was done by MRC, now they're a liberal, or excuse me, a conservative group that goes after and looks at what liberal groups are doing, found the studies. And National Public Radio and PolitiFact are also partially funded by Soros-backed groups. That's how they get
Imagine
their
that.
money. NPR and PolitiFact.
Mm.
The Marshall Project and ProPublica are also tied to Soros, with money that is tied going directly from donations from George Soros's group.
Wow.
So not all the media heavyweights are tied to Soros's cash or in front of the camera either. NBC Universal News, their group chairman, Cesar Conde. He runs NBC News, MSNBC, CNBC. Do you get the connection? Watch that programming and you see what you're going to get.
Oh, yeah.
They're tied to it. They're tied to the Aspen Institute. Also tied to his cash, they also awarded the NBC chief its Henry Crown Fellowship. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. It's what's going on. Also, you're talking about Winkler Holt. You've got Busby. She's with the Washington Post.
Yeah.
George Soros and his liberal-backed groups and the money, not only with politicians, but to influence media and culture all throughout the United States.
Yes.
$131 million in the last 7 years to dictate the media message, to control the message in America. And as bad as the media is when it comes to citizens, think about how bad that is when it comes to the mayors.
Yep.
Or excuse me, the
Prosecutors,
prosecutors
yeah.
running the money that goes into those accounts to help you get elected. This isn't some conspiracy theory, black magic. Oh, we got these thoughts. These are facts.
Yeah.
Kim Gardner, as we know, took money from George Soros. We asked her, and she said yes. Yes, I did.
So you're not surprised, Eric?
I am.
You are.
Are you surprised?
Oh, hell yeah, I am. Come on. George Soros is writing checks to Lester Holt, the cat that's on 5 o'clock on NBC National News.
And through services, yes, you can say that. Maybe not directly. Here, Lester, here's $100,000 to not report the facts tonight.
But this is why these
Why
news
not?
organizations have to follow his narrative.
Why not? Hey, Vic, if he's the news director, which I believe he is, isn't he the news director over there at Channel 5 or NBC National?
No, he's their main anchor.
I know he's the main anchor, but I could have swore. But anyway,
he's about the only anchor that has, when you look at some of the a positive
influence on the stories.
Yeah, no, I mean he has a positive rating in the American public.
He was trustworthy. He was. He was a Republican. Did you know that?
Yeah, I did. You cannot trust Lester Holt.
No,
I'm sorry.
It sucks.
But most
I'm
Americans
sorry.
don't do their research
Look,
or know because we're so busy and just caught up in life.
I know you guys hate when I say, especially Tabitha hates it when I say this. I am a product of nightly news. I used to look at Tom Brokaw.
That tells us everything we need to know.
Well, no, it's his age. Or it's a lot of people's age.
I know, but Eric, things haven't always been as bad as they are.
I'm a product of the old Bon Jovi videos. I'm a product of I'm a product of Van Halen albums. I'm a product of Tom Brokaw telling me the news and entrusting the news. I'm a product of old 1969 Mustangs that were kick ass in high school.
Are you a boomer?
No, I'm an X. Shut up.
I was just going to say.
So when you hear Vic Faust come on cancelthis.com and say Lester Holt has been paid off by the world supervillain, man, it makes you a little nostalgic for the old days. It makes me nostalgic for the old
Eric,
days.
I watched CNN 24/7 around the clock until 9/11. When 9/11 happened, my entire perspective changed, and I turned it off, never watched him again. And now I don't watch the news at all
Yeah,
because now
but to me,
my eyes were opened.
I know. I understand, Tabitha. You're much more enlightened than I am. I get it.
I'm not
I'm
saying
happy
that.
for you.
I'm not
happy
saying I'm
for
more
you.
enlightened. I'm saying
To
that
me,
there was a time I'm relating to you that I was the
I
same way.
understand. To me, there's sadness about knowing that Pop-Tarts are really unhealthy for you. I mean, that was where I brought.
Poison.
I'm sad that I'm a product of the old days when this planet was not on fire.
But you get it
I'm
now,
telling you
right?
what. If you could transport me back to any time period, it would be the 80s because it was just a good time to be
I'm
alive.
with you. Let's
Because
all.
George Soros wasn't involved in your life then?
Because George
now he
Soros,
is.
But he was
yes.
still running. He was still there. He was still running the government even back in the 80s.
Yeah.
We just didn't know. We weren't aware back then. We'll on maybe tomorrow we'll bring in some Red Bull and we'll get a hot tub time machine. We'll go back to the 80s.
I'm with you. You can make that happen. And if anybody in this room could make that happen, it would be Tabitha Hassel because her life is crazy.
Well, I mean, it was released even last month that one specific Biden official hid meetings that they had with George Soros. What in the hell is the Biden administration doing meeting with George Soros? He also met with Hillary Clinton and Nancy Pelosi. These were all kept from the media, the national media.
Yeah.
When I was doing research, I found this stuff on Fox News, but nobody else did it. Why? Why is he meeting? Well, it's to have influence because when you have money, you can donate and then get what you want put out, just like with the media.
Wow.
Now, technically, there are contracts that media members sign where you can't get money to say a certain thing or to have a certain agenda. But if the heads of your companies are getting money too, I think it's safe to say you're going to be just fine.
Okay, let me respond to that.
That doesn't tell the whole truth or omits
No.
the important truth or emits things that would very much change American opinion.
So the biggest news story of the day when it happened, Joe Biden has classified documents. Okay, when that happened, what George Soros would have done is to make it so that the top leading story of the day would have been George Santos is being contested and they're trying to get him out of Congress on nightly news. You'd be like, why are they running this as the top story of the day when Biden has a garage full of top secret documents?
Well, they're paid to. That's
exactly.
That's
so
why
it's
we
not
call
that
it
it's not that they're
media.
it's not that they're lying; they're omitting. And when
they lie also.
And I come onto this show to make the case. When you hear your national news, whatever it is that you get it from, and there's local news and people get national news, and I'll say it until the show goes until it goes off the air. National media is lying to you when they don't tell you something.
Of course they are.
When they don't tell you about the ramifications of 5 million people walking over the border, they're lying to you. When they don't tell you about the ramifications of the Green New Deal, they're lying to you. When they don't tell you about whatever the issue of the day is because it doesn't fit their political agenda and they're trying to protect somebody, they're lying. It's a lie. It's a lie.
Why don't we just turn it off? We don't have to listen to their lies. It's all propaganda is what it is, Eric. It's all propaganda.
But
it just takes time.
But it's geared to make you think one certain direction.
Right. But the problem is this. Even if you come onto this show, there's times when we talk about stuff, I'm like, that can't be accurate. When there's stuff that Tabitha will say where I'm like, that is just a bunch of bullcrap. Because it sounds so sensational. I'm serious. I'm not being.
Well, I hope you leave and then go look it up.
He was getting to that.
Yeah, and I would like to be. My thing is this, and I don't even know if I'm saying it properly. I would love to be able to go home, have my glass of red wine at 5:00 and watch Lester Holt and trust. That's the key word there. Trust that he's giving me the correct information that I need to make decisions to vote, to go get a job, to know what's going on, current events in the world. I would like to trust that. And apparently what Vic just said, can't trust it.
You're the new Lester Holt. We are the new Lester Holt.
I don't think so.
Yeah, Eric.
No, I don't think so.
People come to us to look for the truth now.
I don't want to be Lester Holt. I'm a Monday morning quarterback. I look at what happens on the field and then I bitch about it.
But
That's
people,
what I do.
What my point is, people come to our show and shows like ours to get the truth. We are the Lester Holts of today because you're not going to find it. You're not going to find it on the media.
And Eric, those ratings are dropping. We're actually showing people who's listening and watching and viewing us up to the minute.
Yeah.
TVs aren't doing that.
Yeah.
We're telling
Radio
the people the
stations aren't
truth.
doing
Look,
that 100%
it's
we
like
do.
this.
They have
It's-
ways of doing it. I'm telling you,
I don't want to be that,
we get
though.
set in our ways,
Yes.
but then things evolve.
There's a lot of
News
research.
information and putting it out there has changed,
Yes,
Eric.
that's right.
Just because we don't have NBC, CBS, Fox.
Okay. All right.
Look at how everybody's changing their viewing
Let me
habits.
let me just say this, and you will agree with this 100%. So news, it gets you find it on the police scanner or whatever it is, and you have a producer go out there and say, I'm going to find out information. I'm going to get here's the thing we don't have. Sources. We don't talk to the people that should be talked
What
to.
do you think
are
I
you
do? I
No,
spend my entire
no.
night. You know,
We
why
don't
are
have-
you on the show?
what-
If you don't like being on the show, why are you on the show?
Man,
If
I
you
don't want to piss you off.
If
That's
you
for
don't
damn
think,
sure.
because you're sitting here telling
he's not
people
saying that.
and our listeners that we're not factual. We are factual.
Well, we
when
are
I come in
factual.
here and tell you stuff, it's a fact. I'm not 100% right on everything.
Well,
I
then
might-
it's not a fact.
Maybe 1%
He
or
just
less
said
than
it's-
1%.
But didn't you say it just sounds crazy? And then you're
Yes.
like, damn, what?
Yes.
This is actually
Yes.
happening?
Eric,
Yes.
We're all on the
And
same
the only
page.
get
reason
on.
I'm saying,
I know
look,
we are. I'm
stop.
just messing with Eric.
Stop.
I know we're on
My
the same
thing
page.
is this. My thing is this. NBC, and this is all I'm trying to say. CBS, ABC, Dan Rather, Walter Cronkite, whoever you want to go back to, they were supposed to be the producers of, let's just say, a product. We were the connoisseurs of the product.
Well,
we
that
were.
product is
hold
gone.
on,
It's
hold
gone.
on. We were the people absorbing the product, saying, "Thank you guys for letting us know the information you're giving us." We now are the producers of that product. And that's all I'm saying. I don't want to be the producer of that product. I want a place where I can go where I trust my media sources.
You are in a place.
That's
You're
it.
sitting next to two of them right here.
That's it. That's all I'm saying. I would like to have this as a commentary against what we see on the news.
Eric doesn't give himself enough credit because Eric, even though you're reluctant to do what you do it and you do it well. And then but you're so good at self-deprecation and it's part of your humor and it's part of your
I
personality.
don't want to deprecate myself.
But you do. You don't give yourself enough
No.
credit. You don't give us enough credit for what we do
I
because
love
because you grew up in the 80s and you're like, no, we could actually
I would
we
say
could actually lead the way. You mean we are little
Right.
old us?
well, I'll tell you
Yes,
what.
little old us.
We have our own sources.
I don't mean to
Eric.
make you mad.
You're not making me mad. I'm just trying
Some-
to explain to you.
I have dodged a bunch of lasers coming out of your eyes in the
No,
last
you're
few
not-
days.
You're not
So,
making me mad.
Yeah, I am.
You're
And
not.
that's
You're,
sad.
no, you're not.
I'm not-
You're not making me mad. I'm just trying to explain something to you.
Yeah.
That the reason why we have this show, the
Lisa.
reason why I'm on this show and on other shows in the past, the reason why Vic asked me to be on The Edge back in the day
Yes.
is because I do all the research. I have my own
Okay,
sources.
can I give you one more example?
Can I say something
I-
real quick?
Yes.
Yes, please,
The
Scotty.
thing that Eric's talking about here, Eric, I'm going to have to disagree with you a little bit on
Okay,
this.
okay.
And I want to play this video that's been well shared. I think I shared it with Tabitha a couple weeks ago.
Are you setting up a joke?
No,
Oh,
not
I
at all.
thought you were going to add
No,
some
not at
levity.
all. I just want to show you what these other stations.
Hi, I'm Fox San Antonio's Jessica Headley.
And I'm Ryan Wolf.
Our greatest responsibility is to serve our
Treasure Valley communities,
the El Paso, Las Cruces communities, East communities,
Mid-Michigan communities.
We are extremely proud of the quality, balanced journalism that CBS 4 News produces.
But we are concerned about troublemaking, irresponsible, one-sided news stories plaguing our country.
plaguing our country.
The sharing of biased and false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
The sharing of biased and
False news has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media outlets publish these stories simply aren't true without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
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 This is extremely dangerous to our democracy. This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
Hi, I'm Fox San Antonio's Jessica Headley.
I think I saw Vic in there.
Almost had to read that.
Sorry.
Do you have that off? Okay.
Yeah. Sorry.
That was amazing, Scotty.
You get the point. Here's the thing, though. I need to put that in context. First of all, I thought it was a great idea for Scotty to run. Second of all, here's what it was, though.
I'm just trying to get a cross point.
But here,
you're right,
I have
Scotty.
to be fair about what that was about. That was from 2018. Fox 2 was going to be purchased by Sinclair. Those were all Sinclair stations,
Doesn't matter.
which ironically is a conservative group. I'm just going to tell you that right now. They're a conservative ownership group. We were going to have to read that when Sinclair was buying us. The deal went south, and the Nexstar ended up buying us. So we did not have to read that, but we heard and we saw the scripts that we're going to have to read. That was in 2018 regarding fake news, reporting news correctly. So Sinclair wanted to make sure that the entire country knew, listen, we're not going to get into the fake news. We have our reporters, we have our anchors doing the fact checking, blah, blah, blah. So they said all of the stations are going to say this exact script so that everybody knows every one of our stations is on the same page.
Yeah.
Now, that doesn't mean, because
That just proves the point.
I rip local news, but it is ironic that Sinclair was more of the conservative ownership group in local news compared to others.
Yeah.
But everybody had to say the same thing. So when you put it all together, it looks
horrible.
But what you're
looks
saying
horrible.
proves the point of the video, and that a lot of these news agencies are owned by the same company. They do give out messages and tell everybody to read the same message. And I can't believe that that's the only time it's happened. They all share the same narrative. That's why we call it state-ran media.
It was the only time I ever saw it in my 24 years in local news until COVID hit.
And it could be because you weren't part of Sinclair or part of another network that did it.
Yeah, but I worked with liberal organizations that didn't do that.
Who owns Fox 2?
The other, Nexstar.
Nexstar.
And what's interesting too from all of that is when you don't, I never saw it, but I've always said when it comes to local news and the messages, and I don't even know how we got it. Oh, about us being legitimate in checking sources and doing things like that. I never got messages from ownership groups telling you that wasn't about how to run stories. That was about, we're not going to be fake news. So everybody read the same thing. So it looks like, oh, you're being told exactly what you have to say. Yeah, you were told to read that one script. Local news are not told by ownership groups what to report, what to do. I never witnessed that. But in the local newsrooms, you are. So who's ever controlling those local newsrooms is controlling the message.
Yeah.
And that's where I started to run into difficulties with the last presidential election and how the coverage was going, and with everything cupcake related and shots, you name it.
Yeah.
Because what we just saw, what Scotty just played for us, first of all, I think is phenomenal. And Scotty, people in the comment line have been asking if they can have a link to that.
That's easy. You just
Please.
go to Sinclair,
Yeah,
local
do that.
TV station saying the same thing.
Or YouTube, it's multiple local news stations say the same thing verbatim.
Yeah.
You can
All
go,
Sinclair stations.
yes, you can go online. And we did this back when we were on War on COVID. We did it a couple of times. You can go online and you can look at news articles where it's all a cookie cutter of the same thing. They just insert a different name of a different city. And what they were saying about fake news, of course they consider us to be fake news, but we're telling the truth. The people who actually tell the truth and put the facts out there, they want to call us fake news because we're not being paid by George Soros. We're not being paid by some of these other organizations.
Yeah.
It's insane.
And I don't want to be confrontational. I'm not trying to be. But when you look at me,
give yourself some credit.
You're fairly
Eric.
confrontational.
When you look at me as the guy on sports talk radio talking about how bad Brady sucked on Monday. That's all I am. I just look at the game. I go, damn, that was his last game. And then me just doing
That's
a
your
cold
role.
commentary
Yes.
about it.
Tabitha,
I have
we figured it out. That's why we're a perfect balance, Eric, because that's your role and you're perfect with it.
I just
Tabitha is out studying her ass off and proving the stuff that she's getting is correct. I do both of it.
Yeah.
That's what we work.
Well, and that's why we
Scotty
all work.
jumps in, and that's why people like us.
We all work so well together, and especially Scotty, because he agrees with me so often.
Yeah, and I think that,
And I just love Scotty
and I have
for that.
another opinion about this. Every time you guys, and I'm watching your texts, Fox News is as close to the mark as you can get. I'm afraid that's the truth. These guys try to bring on liberals. They try to have two sides of the coin. They try to report everything. All you gotta do is look at CNN and MSNBC, and if I hear one more George Santos story, I'm gonna blow my head off. And the only reason they're doing it is because they can't report on anything else in their sphere because it is all against their agenda. So if you want to know the truth about things, I hate to say it, Tabitha, if it is as far as a big look, Fox News is the big box store of
Are
news.
you getting ready to tell us again that we're not telling the truth?
No, I'm not. But Fox News is the Best Buy of news stories.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, they are not.
When you walk
he says big box, meaning
the big box,
meaning
if
TV.
you
it's the Walmart of news.
Okay, but then that's called falling for the illusion.
AON.
You're
is that what
falling
it is?
for the illusion.
One American Network.
OAN.
OANN. Oh, whatever it is. That is, now they have their news, but they are kind of they're the local toy store.
No,
news.
they're not.
They're the small little guy. They don't compete with the Walmart. Walmart is Fox News. Okay. That's the truth.
Fox News is only allowed to be what you call the big box news because they toe the line.
Maybe.
They don't talk about election fraud. They don't talk about
they do.
cupcakes in the right way.
They try to.
You're talking about Tucker Carlson who buys his own airtime.
Okay, well, at least it's on.
But it's on Fox.
But it is on,
Eric
it is
isn't
on Fox.
saying it's perfect. He says it's the best of
It's
what's
the best
out
you can
there
have.
on TV.
I absolutely get your point.
Not including podcast and streaming like we do.
No, I understand your point. My point to that is that, and I'm agreeing with you on that, but my point to that is news organizations like America Online News or Newsmax or what is the other one called? America's Voice. Those are great references for news. They go out, they do their research like we do.
Yeah.
But the problem is they're never going to be a big box news like Fox because they tell too much truth.
Right.
They will never be allowed to grow to that extent. That's why I say turn off all the news, turn your televisions off. Check out shows like ours. Check out shows like America Online News, like America's Voice, all of these different places, because you're going to hear a lot more truth out of us. And you know what? When I'm in here spewing stuff out, I don't expect people to take my word for it. I expect people to be pointed in the right direction, and then they can go out and do the research themselves.
Yeah. And I think
I don't want to tell people how to think.
If Tabitha was at any local news station, Eric, as a quote investigative reporter, she would be blowing.
Oh.
If she was with Fox News, she would be blowing stories out. Okay.
Would she?
Yeah.
Oh, they'd fire me on day one.
Would they?
Yeah, because of the research
Oh
and
my God,
doing the
what
research. Because most people at these local stations and nationals, unless they're giving a lot of time, resources, and money, aren't doing the research.
Right.
That's why we have news here
But
first.
we were
research it
conditioned to
ourselves.
think that, we have to look at TV and think that everything with TV is right 100% of the time. They're the only people that have news. And now life has changed in the last 5 years
But
with streaming.
But and then you guys kill me a little bit with this. To acquire and to propagate your own news story, you do. Tabitha, look at me. I'm not trying to be mean. You need to go out into your car. You need to get your sources on the record, and you have to prove it that way. You can't just read something off of a website and go, "This is the truth."
I don't. And see, that's when you become insulting.
No, I'm not trying to be insulting.
I understand that, but
That's not insulting.
But he's acting like that's not what I do.
No, I don't think he just doesn't understand. He's
generalizing.
Not being insulting.
When I leave here, because I'm an insomniac, I spend sometimes 7, 8, 9 hours doing nothing but researching. And it's not like I'm opening up an article
I know
and
that's
saying,
true.
oh, this is the truth because I read it here. I go and I look at all different angles. I go and I look at the sources. I talk to people in different countries. And the only difference between us and a big box story is that we tell more truth because we're looking at the subjects we want to talk about, more conservative topics, more truthful topics. Somebody like Fox News, they have to call this guy. This guy has to go out and do the research. He has to okay it with somebody else. They have to go 5 different channels of red tape. And finally, 3 days later, Fox News says, okay, we'll talk about it today. I do all that in one night. And then we can talk about it the next morning. And that's why we are always ahead of even Fox National.
Eric, I'm doing stuff all day long. All day long.
I hear you. So am I. I am too.
You're better than what you're giving yourself credit for.
No, I'm not.
You're ahead of the game on many things, but you refuse to give yourself credit.
No, I'm not.
You will never give yourself credit because you just want to be the guy that's the armchair quarterback. And you do it well. And you're fun and you're funny. But guess what? what we're doing is good.
So let me give you an
and
example.
A lot of it's backed up.
Let me give you an example. CNN.
It's not just opinion.
CNN.com, their lead story, U.S. officially hits the debt ceiling.
Yeah, that just came out.
Okay. They're gonna couch this as the Republicans are dirty, scummy people for not trying to raise the damn debt ceiling.
Of course.
That will be the flavor of the article. They'll never go into this article, and I'm going to read it here. I haven't read it yet, but they're never going to go into this article saying, if the United States doesn't get its crap together, it's going to default, and it will go down to an F rating as far as the world economy goes.
Mm-hmm.
They will never couch it as anything other than the Republicans are scummy Americans for not raising the debt ceiling. Now, if you go back to Fox will do, at least they'll try to do a two-sided hit to where they go, here's the pros, here's the cons. At least you'll hear about it. And that's the only thing I'm saying about these two things. And that's why I'm sad, and I'll leave it at this, that I don't know where the truth actually lies. I'm starting to figure it out. But Tabitha's absolutely right. There is no one on the planet Earth, people, that research more than Tabitha Hassel. And it's been that way since I've known her.
There you
For
go.
real.
Because research is my passion. I always, I write because research is my passion. I'm just thankful that I have a platform to come in and talk about it.
Let me give you another example. I come into this place and I bitch about St. Louis, Missouri being one of the most crime-ridden pieces of garbage that I've ever ran across. And the reason is because I've been down there enough times now to know that I should be not walking in certain parts of that area. Mm-hmm. And I happen to love St. Louis. So that's not a commentary on my point. That is a fact. And when we talk about Tashara Jones screwing this place up and not going and cleaning up the garbage in alleys, or you look at Kim Gardner, who's letting criminals out of jail when they should be in a jail for the next 20 years for some of the crimes they do, that's not hearsay. That is fact-based with commentary. So I have fact, and I'm commenting on it.
Everything you say is very valuable to the show.
Yeah.
100%.
I don't know if that's
true. No, I absolutely believe it's true. As a matter of fact, I just said it on the comment line. We like you the way you are. You add value
just the way
for who you are. There's probably a song. Scotty, can you write us
there is a song.
There is a song.
Eric and I will do a duet.
That would be Billy Joel.
Just the way you are.
But Eric, a lot of what you said represents really the majority, because most people aren't doing the deep dive on all these topics. And a lot of people have the same questions you have. Can you imagine if it was, that's why me on a show by myself doesn't work too well, because me just spewing all this junk out without somebody asking questions and coming back out is not that fun.
And, we can make comments on the video that guy sticking a microphone in the Pfizer CEO. We can comment all day long on that.
We need our own street team.
I agree with you. But what are you going to do in St. Louis? You're going to ask people's opinions in St. Louis?
Will go sit out in front of Kim Gardner's office.
Amen, sister. I'll pay for that.
We are talking about so many things and so many different directions that we can go. Trust me, there'll be a lot more in time. It's coming because there's a need for it. As long as we don't get overrun by all the countries that Tabitha said are getting ready to invade our country through the Pacific, the Atlantic, through the Rio Grande,
through the southern border, through the Del Rio exit.
Through Canada via Detroit, through Windsor.
And speaking of, can I throw this in really quick? Colonel Joe Adams messaged me earlier when he heard our conversation. That? Colonel Joe Adams.
Who's that?
Our friend.
Oh, yeah, the Colonel.
And love of the show, Colonel Joe Adams. And he said 85% invasions come through the front door.
Okay.
Yeah, in the old days, absolutely.
I'm assuming he means through our southern border.
If you were,
which is what we're allowing to happen.
Well, that's a demographic shift.
We're opening the door and telling them to come on in.
You're right about that. It's a democratic shift. That's a voting block. That's a different thing. What I'm talking about is you don't have weaponry lining up on. There is no American front. There's no country that's going to go and bring warships on our coastlines. It's just not going to happen. Our fronts are nuclear weapons or nothing.
Have said that. I'm sorry.
You know what I mean?
I know I was going to get you going on that.
No, you're not going to get me going on it. It's just trying to put that in your brain that the United States can be invaded. This isn't the times of Rome where you could bring the Roman army through little villages and destroy everything. It's a different time that we live in. But that being said, I think the WEF can go and invade a lot of countries and make them do things to make them more powerful. And that really should scare everybody more than any army right now. No, armies are going to, if China decides to go into Taiwan, it'll be the worst PR move they ever made. They can win the war on the world a lot more efficiently if they do it right, because they're a growing economy. They know they have influence all over the world. That's where you really need to be a little bit worried, I think.
But think about this way. This is how complex world politics are. Does it scare you that Russia and China have teamed up together, and together they are fighting the WEF?
Yeah,
Think about that.
I don't know if they're fighting the WEF because they had a Chinese guy on the stage at the WEF, and they basically said, "Thank you, China, for coming and helping us win this battle on climate change," or whatever it was. And the China guy was just like, "Yeah,
China got
you're
sucked into that climate mess, which is why their economy's all screwed up.
But that's it. They talk out of both sides of their mouth.
They have
more coal-fired power plants in China, but at the same time, they're like, "Oh yes, we're going to help you build windmills." And
this is why world news, world politics is not or has not been all that popular in America, because it's difficult to understand. It's not black and white. There's not a winner at the end of the movie. There's not a winner at the end of the game.
Right.
You don't know who the teams are. Sometimes you do. I mean, there's overhead, you see where things are, but there's so many things going on behind the scenes that we don't know, may never know, and don't think it's ever going to come to America because, we've never known anything else.
Yes.
So I get it. I get it.
Jill says I'm her favorite useful idiot.
Oh,
a term of endearment.
And that's not really a bad thing.
That's a term of endearment.
I mean, but you know what? I play that role. I play that role in PRL. I'm a bass player. All bass players are useful idiots.
Eric, no matter what we say,
Isn't that
usually
right? Isn't that
it's
right,
going
Scotty?
to.
I'm going to disagree.
Not everybody's going to agree with everything we say. Yeah. Exactly.
But I think that person meant that as a term of endearment. I
Yes,
think it was
a
like
joke.
a sweet.
I don't think so.
No,
Look,
I do. I think it was a sweet
no, it's
thing.
cool. I get it, Jill. I'm a useful idiot. But but it's okay.
We've all been called some things.
It's okay because this show is like a bunch of people.
She said endearment, 100% endearment.
Yeah, because
don't go back now, Jill.
No, because I know her and I know she loves you.
No, Jill, it's okay. Don't worry about me. I'll make it somehow. This is a show like a bunch of people hanging out at Starbucks right before they have to go to work and talking about world events. And then we all go, everybody have fun. And then we go at the end of the show, we go, ready, break. And the break the huddle.
Let's do our first live remote there and see how long we last before they say, you guys need to leave.
Yeah. No, Eric, that's how how you are. And you need to keep that mindset. That's how you think the show is. Tabitha sees it being far different than that. We're not just average people showing up. What do you think? Because if there's no research, if there's not studying being done, then it would be that way.
Yes.
But we are studying.
Correct.
We are trying to verify.
No doubt.
And Eric, you know a lot about a lot of stuff.
He'll never accept it. So let him stay that way because Eric is smart. Eric gets it.
Smart.
Eric doesn't want to have that responsibility of being like a news leader.
Eric, he knows the same stuff we do.
You're a news leader, Eric.
He's just scared to say it because he doesn't want to disappoint his liberal friends.
Screw Lester Holt.
Wow. I can't. No.
I would much
say
rather.
it, Eric. Say it.
No.
Just say it out loud. It'll be therapy. Screw Lester Holt. Just say it.
Say it.
Say it.
Oh,
imagine Sam Kinison. Say it.
Yeah, it sucks so bad.
Oh, I can't even say it.
I know. I can't. Screw Lester Holt.
There it is.
Yes.
I feel sick.
Do you feel better?
I feel sick inside.
You're
Boom,
going to
there
sleep
you go.
better tonight.
Robert Peterball just gave us some breaking news. We appreciate it, Robert. Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy, just announced effective immediately there will be no more proxy voting. The speaker says, quote, members of Congress, I repeat, members of Congress have to show up to work if they want their vote to count.
Good job, McCarthy.
I like that.
Well, that's just taking over. I mean, Nancy had some.
You're being
ridiculous
paid. You better be
policies.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Do your job.
That's right.
Yeah.
I think that was the funniest thing on the show today. Say it. Everybody's saying, say it. Oh, there you go. Okay, guys. We are gonna talk some Antarctica tomorrow, Eric.
Okay.
We
so
must
get ready.
prepare.
We have listeners who have.
And you know what else we're going to talk
We're
about?
wide open tomorrow.
We're going to talk about the end of times.
Oh,
And
cue
about
the music.
Actually,
I got a job.
And about the Euphrates
Record.
River drying up and all the other signs.
How about that?
It's on.
No,
Eric,
no
on.
misinformation around
Eric,
here.
are you familiar with the Euphrates River?
I am.
Euphrates?
It's biblical. I get it.
You-
But I tell you what.
You can't take a jet ski out there right now.
What's going to happen when it refills itself? Are you going to go, well, maybe we were a little premature on that?
That could happen.
What if, like, I'm going
Just
to go.
like California replenished itself.
It sure
last
did.
week.
In 1 week.
It sure
The
did.
earth takes care of itself.
So what are you going to do when
There's
the
demon-
Euphrates
Todd
floods
says-
the entire plain?
Todd says
out there?
there's demons inside
That's
the
what I
Euphrates
keep
River.
hearing.
Inside the Euphrates River.
Isn't that where the 7 horsemen live? I don't know.
No.
I'm not trying to be blasphemous. I just don't know.
No.
I don't know.
You'll find
Continue
out
to share
tomorrow.
the show.
I take it back. I want. Please scrub that part of the tape. I don't know enough about Revelation.
We have tons of
I
views.
should know more.
When the show ends, continue to share it. The comment line is going. We appreciate. We love you guys. Thanks for joining us for Cancel This. If there's any other stories, ideas, things of that nature, let us know. You can also help and be a part of what we're doing by donating. We have that button on cancelthisshow.com. If you're using a computer, laptop, desktop, whatever, if you go to it on our phone, you click menu and it takes you to the donate button. You can also get some, some merchandise for those donations as well. We're grateful. We appreciate it.
I take it back. It was not the 7 horsemen that live in the Euphrates.
Did you look it up real fast?
That sounds pretty cool, though.
It's not cool. All right. I think they're in Wentzville at the aquatic park.
Yeah.
And screw Lester Holt.
And screw Lester Holt.
He's taking money from Soros. Of course, it's
And
legitimate.
George Soros, when he died like 50 years ago, didn't he? He's like one of those
They cloned him.
animatronics.
No, he's like
cloned him.
He's like the president. There's 5 of them. He'll never die.
You would clone that? I mean, wouldn't you make the wrinkles a little bit less wrinkly? Come on, man. I want my next iteration of myself make me look better.
There we go. We got to get out of here, guys. Thanks for joining us for Cancel This.
Some serious
Scotty,
bags under his
Scott
eyes.
Gherkin, Eric Johnson. And somebody gave, was it a middle finger? Somebody gave a middle finger to Lester. Love it. Tabitha Hassel. I'm Vic Faust. It's Cancel This. Go to cancelthisshow.com. Share the show. Like it. Subscribe. Let people know what we're doing. We'll see you tomorrow.